TNT Sports presents NASCAR. Today, it's the Toyota Save Mart 350 from Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California. Getting ready to go racing here in Sonoma. Let's take you down the pit road. Here's Marty Snyder.
Well, Bill, everybody's looking for the combination of speed and fuel mileage. Talked to Jeff Gordon moments ago. He told me they don't think they have the speed in the car to be able to win this race, so they'll play the fuel mileage game. And Steve Letarte, as crew chief, brought up an interesting point to me. Double file restarts, maybe more cautions today. The man who pits last first might stand the best chance to win this race. Lindsay?
Marty, Greg Biffle is still steaming from running out of gas for a second straight week at Michigan. He feels like today he cannot let that happen, obviously on a track where fuel mileage is so important. I just talked to him. He said, I do think I've got a very fast car, but him and his crew chief know it's all going to come down to what happens on double file restarts, Matt Yoakum.
Lindsay, racing at the Infineon Raceway is more like an amusement park ride with the elevation changes and the very unique and twisty pit road. The key to today, survival and balance. You heard Tony Stewart talk about it. He's in the first pit stall in the second section. Today, the big thing is just trying to survive what some drivers call it the bowling alley, the slower sections when we have those double file restarts. It could get very interesting, Ralph.
A popular number, Kevin Harvick, for these days is number 2. His best finish of the year, second at Daytona. Best finish here at Infineon, second 2 years ago, and he's 2 points out of a spot in the chase. So how does he turn those 2s into a 1? It might be single file up through the S's here in 2 and 3. He spent a lot of time talking with his crew chief about that very fact, Bill.
Thanks, Ralph. Hope you guys have a great day down there on pit road. 11 of the first 18 Infineon races were won from the first 2 rows. 7 from the first row. The last 3 won from outside the top 10. It is going to be a wild afternoon. Get ready. This command's going to be something.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome football great and former Oakland Raider Ken Stabler, president of Toyota Dealer Association, Henry Hansel, and Toyota off-road racing legend Ivan Ironman Stewart to deliver those most famous words in motorsports.
For all you dads out there, happy Father's Day. Here we go. Gentlemen, start your engine!
Kenny's the Grand Marshal here. When they asked him at dinner Friday night how he was going to do the command, he wouldn't tell us. He wanted to save it for Sunday. And some of these guys on pit road already saving fuel because they don't fire up on the command. How about that? Sign of what's to come at Sonoma.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing, brought to you by Coors Light. Get Coors Light pole position alerts on your cell phone. Just text RACE to 42100 to sign up. By Chrysler, we're building a new car company. Come see what we've built for you. By the U.S. Army, watch drivers battle for position on the U.S. Army Battle Cam, only on TNT's Race Buddy on NASCAR.com. And by Burger King, who reminds you to have it your way.
This is Infineon.
TNT Sports presents NASCAR. This afternoon, it's the Toyota Save Mart 350 from Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California. It has been a beautiful week out here. Hot earlier in the week, but today, just spectacular. 75 degrees. You see the track temperature. No rain in the forecast. Hi, everybody. Bill Weber along with Wally Delleback and Kyle Petty. Thanks for having us in for the race. And before we get down to race business, if you would just allow us, Mr. Petty.
Happy Father's Day to my father, Richard Petty, obviously. And thank you very much to Montgomery Lee and Austin for calling me this morning for a change. Thank you.
I'd like to say Happy Father's Day to my dad and my father-in-law.
Happy Father's Day, Grady, and to all your dads out there, Happy Father's Day from the TNT Race family. One lesson our dads try to teach us, play well with others. a lesson these guys might need to remember when the green flag waves.
Yeah, this is a tough racetrack because it's so hard to pass. It's gotten so competitive. There's so many good cars and so many good drivers, and there's only 1 or 2 places here that you can really pass, turn 11 being one of them. And you have to use half the racetrack to set a guy up for turn 11. So I think what you're going to see as this race develops is you're going to see a lot of people losing their patience. I think you're going to see guys using their bumper a lot more in this race than we have in the past. But the biggest thing that I found in the garage area, I think everybody is talking about, Kyle, is they're not even talking about brakes or handling or anything else like that. The biggest thing is the double file restarts. That's going to be tricky today.
And this is going to be the last time we mention double file restarts. Not. Okay? We're going to talk about it all day long because it is a big deal. This is something that they've never experienced here except once at the very beginning of the race. And these guys are always nervous at the beginning of the race. What are we going to do at the top of the hill? That's always the topic of conversation. Now it's what are we going to do at the top of the hill all day long?
And really the problem is because you get up on the top of the hill is you're trying to be careful of what's going out in the windshield, but you're looking in the mirror as much as at the windshield. Yeah. And that's when you run into somebody. Right. So that it's one of the hardest places to start a race.
It actually happened to David Rudiman in practice here yesterday. Take a look at the starting grid for this afternoon's race. And as you see, on the front row, Ryan Vickers on the pole for the 2nd week in a row. And we can only talk to these guys at certain points around the track. So you guys go ahead and take a look at the starting grid, and Wally's going to jump on the radio.
Hey, Marcos, this is Wally Dallenbach in the booth. Do you read me? Give it one more shot. Marcos Ambrose, this is Wally up in the booth. Do you read me?
Will do, Wally.
Hey, man, I know probably not as good a view where you're sitting right now than where you would have if you had your qualifying spot. Great qualifying run. You've got a good car. You know how to get around this racetrack. What's your game plan?
Well, the game plan is just hit the fenders on it. We're going to be off strategy with some cars here early on. Just hopefully we get back on sequence before that last pit stop. But for me, look after the car, be aggressive past some guys, but you've got to look after your stuff.
Well, good luck. It's going to be a lot of fun watching you try to get back to the front. So good luck today.
Thanks, Wally, and big shout out to all the fans out there. It's going to be a great day's racing.
There you see the cars working their way around the track here in Sonoma. And we heard them talking while you were getting ready to talk to him during commercial when you talked to Marcus. We heard his crew chief telling him about some of their strategy and that the guys have a lot of respect for how much speed he has, and they know there's a fast guy at the back.
Yeah, but there's always going to be that one guy that's not going to give you the respect. And you're right. I mean, he's going to come up on a lot of guys. He's going to be able to he's going to get some cooperation at the start of this deal. But that cooperation stops the further you get into the field.
Yeah, and what else did his crew chief say? Okay, they know you're coming, you're fast. Okay, so give them a chance to get out of the way before you move them out of the way. And that was the end of that quote.
Let's go down to Larry McReynolds.
Well, Bill, with 11 races to go before this chase starts, we've got one of the tightest battles that we've ever had since the chase came into play. And when people look at road courses like here at Infineon, they know with all the things that can happen here, it can make a big difference in your point situation, one way or the other. Now, I think Marty Schneider is with a crew chief that would love to win the battle, which is this race, but he's also looking at the war, making the chase.
Yeah, Larry Mack, there certainly is a bigger picture here involved with Juan Pablo Montoya, 14th in the championship standings, 43 out of a chase spot. So, Brian Patty, do you chase race today or do you go for the win?
We chase race. You know, if you'd paid me the points for 5th this morning, I'd have left. You know, the bigger goal here is to make the chase. Obviously, it'd be great for all our partners and Target if we could win, but you know, we'll do the best we can and try to bring home a single-digit finish.
So no matter what, you're going to play it conservative all day long.
You know, I say that now, but we definitely don't only make mistakes and do what we do the obvious things right, like Chip tells us every weekend, and we'll see what happens.
And Bill, as we heard Juan say earlier, they have a car that could win this race, so a lot of pressure on Brian Patty and all these crew chiefs today. What decision do you make? Do you go for the win, or do you play it safe?
Marty, I'm not buying that. I mean, I'm buying it from the crew chief, but I am not buying from the driver that he is points racing today. There's no way you're going to convince me of that.
Okay, now you've got plenty of toys, Wally. You had one out earlier. Going to take a virtual lap here at Infineon Raceway and give you fans a look at this place.
Well, it's just the trickiest place on this racetrack, and this is one of them, is getting through turn 1, because the cars stack up right here in this area. And on these double file restarts, this is where you're going to see a lot of the action. You know, we talked about a couple of the places that you have to be really careful. This spot over here in turn 7, although it looks like you're coming in here straight, when you're braking, you're going to see a lot of guys' right front tires smoking here. And that's because the car's off balance. You're actually turning the car a little bit, arcing it in. All you have to do is breathe on somebody when that's happening, and you'll see cars spinning. So that's going to be another problem area on this racetrack. Probably the most important place to pass is this last corner, turn 11. This is where all the action happens, but it really starts a lot further up the racetrack. You have to start here. Your car has to be good through this section. You have to be on the guy's bumper coming through this last corner in order to pull out and make a braking pass right here. So although turn 11 is very important, it starts way up there, further up the track. Your car's got to be good there because you have to be right on somebody's tail in order to make that pass at turn 11.
Drivers very busy on this 1.99 mile track. Let's see. A couple of cars. Marcus Ambrose, we talked about him going to the back of the field for an engine change. Also the 71 car to the back of the field. And the 87 car has Scott Speed in it. Take a look at our race analysis.
Yeah, that pit window. We'll get Larry on that a little bit later, but you're going to see some guys ducking in, I think, early, and hoping that they catch a caution and this thing falls their way as far as getting fuel and doing the fuel mileage thing.
The fuel mileage thing is critical, and you heard Marty say first in, first out, first to win, whatever all that is. And then I watched Larry in the pre-race show on TNT here and try to explain it with his chalkboard and all the calculators, and I'm still lost on it. I understand the concept of it, but this guy hanging onto the steering wheel here, he knows one thing: I got to get to the front, and that's what. Therein lies the problem at a place like this, because you're in the carburetor so much with your foot, off the gas, on the gas, downshifting, that it's tough to save fuel, unlike Michigan and unlike Pocono that we just come off of.
Got some really cool shots here. That's Boris said. That's about an 18 size right shoe there. And Boris is one of those few guys that heel and toes. A lot of drivers will just use their left foot on the brake and then not ever even touch the clutch, which the pedal all the way to the left. And we'll show you that stuff throughout the race. But
and it's funny, I like Harvick's accelerator here. That's an old suicide throttle. If it hangs down, he can kick his foot back. You see this piece up here around the Pennzoil part. He can kick that back. A lot of people don't run that. You don't see it on Robbie's car right here. But Kevin still runs that old school, Saturday night racing type of throttle.
David Gilliland was involved in the happy hour incident here, or the practice incident here on Saturday. I might have misspoke. I might have said it was David Rudin. It was David Gilliland, so he's in the backup car. They actually borrowed from another team at the back of the field. It's Vickers and Kyle Busch, and you guys were talking about which position the pole sitter might take.
Well, it's gonna be interesting on the restarts. I think right now you want to be on the inside. I think that's probably where you're going to be all day long, just because you're going to hope to get the jump on the guy. And we'll go through that, but right now the track's clean as it's ever going to be, and that's going to be real important when you start picking lanes on those restarts.
Field works through turn 11 of this 12-turn track. A lot of elevation changes, really some blind hills, some tough turns, not a lot of places to pass. See how it all unfolds this afternoon here in Sonoma. Happy Father's Day. Glad you're along for the ride. NASCAR on TNT from Infineon Raceway in California. Green flag in the air.
And see, Vickers did exactly what you want to do when you're in that position, is get the jump and get clear. So now this right-hander is all yours.
And it's easier to do, like you said, with a clean racetrack at the beginning of the race. You see these guys piling in up here and bunching up. That's being very careful on the first lap. 10 laps to go, I'm not sure it's going to look like that.
Vickers trying to break away, chased by Kyle Busch. Three wide there, Jeff Gordon in the middle. On board with Gordon. Whoa! Juan Montoya in the 42, Matt Kenseth right in front of him. Down the hill through the S's.
This is a pretty cool spot too. You'll see as the race wears on, these guys burn off fuel. You'll see the left front tires on some of these cars coming completely off the racetrack.
Elliott Sadler inside of Jimmy Johnson for position.
Like you said, they pull that left front tire off the ground because they've got cold tires, they got plenty of grip, and they're willing to use it. As they're not as fast through there, and as they got a pedal through there, you'll see that tire come back down.
That was a very clean start, though. I mean, I think they're practicing for later on in the race.
You see the 14 just pull over right there and let the 39 go. That's give and take and playing well with others, just as Bill said in the opening. You got to kind of give and take and play well with others here and share the space.
Would Tony Stewart have done that with Biffle?
No, that's his teammate.
That's right.
He's making money off that 39 car.
Yeah,
I need to get him to the front.
He's so much playing with others as playing with your buddies.
Okay, playing with your friends. He's playing well with his friends right now.
Martin Truex Jr. in the 1 car. That's 5th and 6th right there.
I don't know if Tony's having trouble, but Martin's making some time through there.
But see, this is where Martin's car is working really good now. He's got the 14 set up for a pass. And that's perfect what I was talking about. If you're good through that section and you can get through that last corner close enough to the guy that you're trying to pass, you can make that braking move, but you've got to be working on that part of the racetrack.
Don't you like it when the guys on the racetrack do exactly what you told them to do?
It really makes us look like rocket scientists.
Yes, that was perfect.
Let's check with Matt Yoke.
And Martin Truex Jr., who won in the Nationwide Series down in Mexico City a couple years ago, has really improved his road racing skills. And the only issue he had in final practice, Bill, and Kevin Bono Mannion felt like that they had tuned it up, was the fact they needed more forward grip off the corners. And so far, it's looking like they've really made some good improvement on that 1 car.
On the move forward. Kyle, you've been all around this track the last few days, haven't you?
The last few days, I've fallen down a bank over here up through the S's. I've been up to the other end. And you know, it's funny because this is what you guys see at home right here is the same thing the crew chiefs see. And we used to go out and practice, and you come in and you say, I need forward grip. I need some side bite. And they were like, well, keep all 4 tires on the ground, and we'll do the best we can. Because you carry a tire here. You hit these curves, picks up a left front, picks up a right front. You see them up there in turn 4. The whole car seems to jump over that curving and head towards that inside wall. It's really hard for a crew chief to understand what the drivers are going through out there a lot of times.
And I don't care how far these cars have come, they don't like changing direction. It's not like a road, you know, a real road course car or road course series. These cars are heavy, they're under-tired, they're under everything, really, on a road course. It's amazing they get around a track like this to begin with.
They're under everything but horsepower and weight.
Yeah.
They're just heavy cars with a lot of horsepower, and everything else can't match that.
Marcus Ambrose started 43rd. He has moved his way up. Check that. He came across the line about 41st, and he's gained 9 positions so far up to 32nd. Marty, what are you working on?
Watching Jeff Gordon, Bill, and you know he's kind of held his own here. Started 13th. He's up in the 12th position right now. Talked to Gordon yesterday. He said, honestly, since this new car has been introduced into the Cup Series, he feels like he's lost a little bit of his advantage at these road courses. He hasn't figured out this new car. So they went to Road Atlanta, tested this car, which is a brand new one for the 2014 they built. Took several months to build this car, a lot of time. Jeff loved it, but when they got here, slow on new tires, very good on old tires. So the beginning part of this run, right now, that's what Steve Letarte is interested in. How well or how poorly they run right now will make decisions on what they change later in the race.
And Marty, I don't know how many of these teams really made long runs on tires. I know the Hendrick guys weren't. It didn't seem like that they were really happy with the road course cars here. You know, they were okay, but they definitely felt like they were, you know, they could be better. But that's going to be interesting to see once these guys get down on tires, because that's really going to show who the cream of the crop is.
Gordon runs in the 12th position, 2 positions in front of him. Juan Pablo Montoya has picked up 7 spots from 17th to 10th. There's Juan in the Target Chevy.
And that's impressive. We talk about Ambrose coming from the back and passing cars that he out-qualified. Juan did not out-qualify these cars. He's at the cream of the crop end of the field right now. So when you can pick up some positions on this end, that's big.
Yeah, but Marty, he's just points racing, right?
Yeah, he's just points racing. Believe that, Bill. We'll see how that plays out in about 100 laps or so. 17th, actually the best Juan Pablo Montoya has ever started here. And really, when you talk about combination of power and fuel mileage, the 42 car might have the best out here. How aggressive he is late in the race, that's going to be a big key. But you talk about those long runs in practice, Wally, that's all this 42 car did yesterday. Minimum 10 lap, maximum 15 lap runs on old tires. Brian Patty really put him through the paces to see how he would be on old tires. That's going to be key today because these tires have a huge fall off from when they're brand new to when they're old.
Here's today's Aflac trivia question. Cue the duck. How many drivers have won 3 or more consecutive road course races? Anybody?
Have won what, 3?
You're just watching out the front bumper here, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm impressed with this shot right here. I'm going to say, how many drivers have won 3 or more? I'm going to say 2.
5.
Okay. Very good.
Is it 5?
Did you cheat?
Yeah,
since I was holding it right here. Yeah.
No, I didn't look at your sheet. I swear.
And the only driver with more than 3 is Jeff Gordon. It's our Aflac trivia question. This is back about the 13th position. Greg Biffle is 13th.
Oh, is that
Hornish.
77 car? You know, and Hornish was one of those guys in that final practice that was actually, he was using his car up. He was braking hard. He was running deeper and harder into the corners than anybody out there in that practice session.
He's side by side back there. Was that AJ next to him?
You got me.
On board with Harvick.
We should pay attention a little bit. These guys all got bundled up. You saw the 77 break. I think he got there. And like you said, he was running so hard, but those guys in front of him, obviously at that point, wasn't running as hard as he was wanting to run.
There you see the distance from first place Brian Vickers to 16th place Kevin Harvick. Looking forward at Joey Logano. There's Vickers. Started on the pole. Has led every lap so far. Sonoma, California, home of Infineon Raceway. Today's running of the Toyota Save Mart 350, and you can see this course, and there are cars spread out pretty much all over it. Everyone chasing that one. Brian Vickers. Here is our Toyota driver update. By the way, this is the first time Vickers has ever led on a road course. This is his 10th road course race.
Yeah, looks like the 77.
Yeah. He's leaving pit road. Report of a vibration on that car. That was after we saw him smoke the tires.
Yeah, he got down in there at 10. He jumped on those brakes really hard to avoid hitting whoever was in front of him, and he peeled out to the right, but I'm sure he flat spotted him pretty hard.
The 04 of P.J. Jones and the 66 of Dave Blaney have gone to the garage early in this race.
There's Marcus Ambrose. Where's he running now? He is in the 26th spot.
That's right.
So he is making his way up very carefully.
It's a gain of 11 positions. How about it, Ralph?
Right now, that car, he says, a little stiff in the front, a little too soft in the rear, but the crew told him you're not losing any ground. And one thing they have talked about is trying to get maybe a little off sequence in their pit stops early in the race to try to gain some track position if there's cautions. But the one thing Marco said is it's extremely important that we're back on sync with the very last pit stop of the day. That we can afford not to do.
An update, Marcos. He's picked up 15 positions since the start of the race.
And that's pretty impressive because he's not losing ground to the leader. He's running the same lap times as the leader. So they're moving at the same pace forward. He's still got that gap from where he started, but at least he's running the lap times.
Boris said in that 08 car.
We've talked about Boris before, and I've said this.
Trouble. There's AJ out in the dirt. Ooh, those are hard on the splitters.
Look at that splitter digging in right there.
He's got a left front flat tire or something broken in the left front because that car's definitely down.
One by one here, they're coming.
What's going on, Matty?
Wally, the issue for the 44, he had flat spotted his tires earlier. He was actually going to hit pit road this time by. Now his day is really taking a turn for the worse.
Go back and see if we can't take a look at this.
Yeah, it must go flat right there because he's going straight across the racetrack. Now, whether it was up,
no, it's down.
It's down, but it goes down right there. You know, when he turned in, there was nothing there to hold him, and he's out there.
Did he make contact with somebody? Yeah. That's the.
You see him go in. He feels like it's up. He turns in, but it's going straight right there. It was down when he got to that corner.
Yeah.
And you see, poor Kevin. Kevin doesn't know which way he's going. So see, Kevin gets passed on the outside by his teammate because he didn't know where the 44 was going.
But those guys did a good job not wrecking behind that.
Yeah, they all did a good job because you pile into that corner pretty hard and you're downshifting in the first gear a lot of times.
Hello, Larry.
Yeah, just looking at some of these guys starting to have flat tires, remember, Goodyear does not run the inner liner here, and you bang wheels so much here, it's very easy just to knock a valve stem off and you end up with a flat tire, I think, just like what A.J. Allmendinger ended up with.
Hey, Larry, how's your calculator?
It's smoking right now, man.
It's going to be interesting to see when the first guys start coming to pit road. You had a good philosophy on Vickers being out front and how their race strategy may or may not play out.
Yeah, I was visiting a little bit with Elton Sawyer down there about the 83, and he said, yeah, he says, I'm not, you know, he says one lap is one thing. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to stay out there, but, you know, like I mentioned to him, I said, you know what, it's so hard to pass here. If you can just stay out front and not make any mistakes and be smooth, it's going to be real difficult for somebody to pass you as long as you can keep out there. So right now, that's what he's doing, and he's running good lap times.
Here's Boris in his office.
Look how big Boris's brake pedal is. Look how big that brake. So when he goes to it, he knows he's going to be there with it.
Now watch when he downshifts. He pumps it, making sure the fluid isn't boiled, right, Larry? And he hits it with it, and he'll roll his foot. He hits the brake with his right foot, and then he rolls over on the throttle and then clutches and downshift. That's very busy. I started doing that when I started road racing and got off it and went into left foot braking, and that's what most of the guys do now.
And this is the way they teach you to heel and toe, to put your toe on the brake like that and to roll your foot over a lot of times and to roll it and hit the gas. The Cup guys, none of us ever understood that. We would jam on the brakes with our heel and roll our toe over and use our toe
It'd be
over.
really ugly.
Yeah, and it was ugly in there. It looked like your feet were going in opposite directions, like you were duck feet. But Boris is probably the best there is at this right now.
And we want to thank the teams that allowed us to install some of these trick shots and BSI for the extra effort to bring us those radically different views. And I want to thank you for participating on the conference call, which is something you don't do very often, with all the ideas of where to put those cameras.
He's talking to you, isn't he?
No, I'm talking to you. Marcus Ambrose to pit road.
4 tires. Fuel.
Okay, Ralph, here we go.
Well, Bill, this was all about getting out of sequence early and trying to gain some track position if and when the brakes fall their way. He said he was getting very held up out on the racetrack. He caught Dale Earnhardt Jr., couldn't find a way around the 88 car. They're going to bring him in. The car's pretty good. It's just not exactly perfect. They're going to put 4 tires and fuel, some very minor air pressure adjustments to the car, and hopefully give themselves an opportunity to gain some track position and some clear racetrack.
They're going to have to hustle.
But it's a gamble no matter how you look at it. And if it works, if he gets a caution at the right time, they're going to look like heroes. But it can work against you just as much. And now he got the leaders coming in the hairpin, but I think he's going to go ahead and keep out in front of them.
And we can tell you that A.J. Allmendinger got a pit road speeding penalty, so he had to go and take a pass-through penalty. So we'll watch for speeding penalties on pit road today, as well as we do every week. They're closing in on Brian Vickers here in Sonoma. The leaders climbing one of the many hills here in Sonoma, California, Infineon Raceway for the Toyota Save Mart 350 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Brian Vickers has led every lap. We've completed 15 of 110, but Kyle Busch is right there. How about the leader, Lindsay?
Bill, you can believe that Vickers knows that Kyle is breathing right down his neck. He just came on the radio and told his crew chief, Ryan Pemberton, I'm really tight in 7. I'm flat in the center. Vickers said that they had worked at VIR, but he also told me earlier today that that kind of stuff he thinks does not translate as well as he wants to on this course. He said he always tries to attack the curbs, but always ends up making a mistake. So we'll see if he can get these handling issues under control.
And the closer the 18 gets.
Yeah, watch when he comes into 11 here. He's definitely cooking the right front going into these corners. He did it up in turn 7.
The 83 is.
The 83 is.
But just like
watch the right front when he goes in there and brakes. And he's being pushed a little bit harder, too.
Just like Wally said in the opening, right here he's looking in the mirror. He's not looking at the corner. He's looking to see where did the 18 go to the inside, did the 18, and you see he moves to the inside and locks that corner and smokes it.
And he's a sitting duck. Let me tell you right now, Kyle's going to get around him. I think that's Kyle's car is faster, and Kyle's just setting him up. And like Kyle says, A3's looking in the mirror quite a bit. So when you get to that point, you're almost better off letting him go this early in the race, because all you're doing is putting yourself in a position where you're going to get run into.
Larry?
Yeah, just going back to Marcos Ambrose and Frank Kerr, the strategy by pitting on lap 12. It's going to be a stretch for them not to have to make now still 2 more stops. But what they're probably banking on, Bill, is the fact that those 2 runs, which they would almost have to run 49 laps per run, they would have to have about 7 to 9 laps of caution in each of those runs to be able to make it on 1 more stop, and I think that's going to be a stretch.
New leader, Kyle Busch.
Yeah, I just don't think the 83s can get in there, brake, and turn at the same time.
It's your mark now.
Kyle set him up perfectly. That was a nice pass.
And that was a clean racing pass right there. That wasn't, I'm going to force you to make a mistake. And you saw Brian get in there, hang out. He thought about cutting back across the hood of that 18. Thought better of it and just let it float on out there and hop the tire and smoke it a little bit.
You see the Transformers paint scheme on the 18 car of Kyle Busch. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen hits theaters this Wednesday, June 24th. More from Mr. Yoakum.
Bill, it's been pretty much quiet on the radio from Kyle Busch to his team. He did say that the only issue he really has, he needs help on the left turns. When I talked to Steve Addington, he says, boy, what a difference a year makes. Last year, they were having to look at pit strategy because they had no risk, nothing really to lose. But now that they're up front, they have sat down, they have a number that they've picked out, and they're going to try to stick to that number as far as their pit strategy. And when they want to hit pit road, right now they're just looking at maybe an air pressure change to try to help them on those left-handers.
And boy, there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, you can make a change, but you don't want to go too far because there's a lot more right-handers than left-handers. And, you're trying to find that balance, but you've got to be careful not to, overdo it.
Yeah, and it's just like, we've talked about it before. There's a slow part of this racetrack and there's a fast part of this racetrack. And which part do you give up? And then when you start giving up left-handers versus right-handers, it's a compromise. And I'm telling you, man, his car looks good right now. He may not like the way it looks, but from where I'm sitting, it's looking pretty good from up here in the booth.
On board with Tony, looking at his teammate Ryan Newman. Joe Gibbs Racing has won 6 of the last 9 road course races. Kyle Busch is in the lead, looking for his 3rd straight road course win. We're in Sonoma, California, Infineon Raceway, the Toyota Safe Mart 350 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and there is some intense racing all over this track. Here are some Coors Light cold hard facts. Jeff Gordon has 9 road course wins, 5 of them here. Kyle Busch won here last year, was the youngest ever to win a road course race at 23 years and 1 month. Of course, he swept the road course races last year. Ricky Rudd won here in 2002 at the age of 45 and 9 months. Our Coors Light cold hard facts. That's Jeff Burton. That's turn 11 right there.
You see somebody's hit the tires and knocked the tires back up. You just saw him as Jeff drove off. I don't know if that was part of that incident, but he's moving slow.
And the caution flag is out. First caution of the day. 20 laps are complete. Max Pappas will be the lucky dog. He's the first car scored off the lead lap. And of course, When we go back to green, it will be a double file restart. Let's go back and see if we can find out what happened to Jeff Burton. Already underway there. David Reagan.
He clobbered those
He
things.
did.
And that's probably why the caution is out, because the tires are sitting there upside down, could fall over in a bad place, more so because there doesn't appear to be anything on the racetrack, because Jeff just really got around on him.
Wrong place, wrong time for David Reagan. Kyle Busch is the race leader. Then it's Vickers, Kane, Stewart, and Boris Said. Under caution for the first time. Get ready. Back at Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California. Under caution, some of the leaders staying out. Some guys headed for pit road. All kinds of different strategies playing out here. Early in this race, just 21 laps complete. Marty Snyder.
Bill, very interesting here. Just outside of everybody's fuel window, and the tire fall off was pretty good on that last run. So a gamble here by Steve Letarte and Jeff Gordon. Jeff saying the car way too loose for him. Air pressure adjustments, trying to tighten this thing up, getting 4 tires on it. In practice yesterday, Gordon very good on old tires, Lindsay.
Marty, a big gamble also for Matt Kenseth, who was running in the 9th position. He had said the car gets looser and looser each lap, and there's a wheel hop. They gave him 4 new tires and sent him on his way.
And the track bar adjustment already working there for the 1-car Martin Truex Jr. He said his car absolutely plowing in turns 7 and 11. Air pressure change, taking considerable amount of time on the right side. Now over to the left. Jeff Kerr with the jack, pumping a half. It's up. And he's finally away to rally.
Air pressure adjustment, the only call for Boris Said. Crew Chief Frankie Stoddard saying, let's gamble a little bit. We'll pit now. And pitting for Boris Said, the famed Wood brothers today.
This is going to be interesting.
Well, yeah, this is what we talked. Normally on these other tracks, the pole sitter decides which one he wants, and it's like a pretty easy call. But this one, I still think Kyle's going to pick the inside like he would on the start of the race, just because you're trying to get the jump on that guy getting into turn 1.
Kevin Harvick too fast exiting pit road. Larry.
Well, we had 15 cars that stayed out, Bill, but I think the cars that pitted, they're pitting with 88 laps to go. That means they have to run 44 laps per run. I think that is absolutely doable. But what's going to be interesting for our fans, you see those top 15 cars right there, within the next probably 6 to 8 laps, maybe even less, they'll be hitting pit road under green for their first pit stop.
There goes Max. He's the lucky dog in that 13 car. Dave Blaney, PJ Jones out of the race. Fans Off Track with Tony Stewart, presented by Armor All, is an exclusive video series that puts you behind the scenes with racing superstar Tony Stewart. To watch now, go to NASCAR.com/ArmorAll.
13's going to have the pedal. I think he's going to make it.
And we've not had the lucky dog out here before. They've so this is a new rule because of the double file restarts. They've implemented some of the stuff. I want to tell you, they let him go over here through the S's. He's got to go all the way around the racetrack. He's going to be lucky to be up in turn 7 by the time they drop the green flag over here.
Start finish line right now. So, you know what? Well, he'll have a full head of steam. It'll be close, but...
NASCAR told the drivers in the drivers meeting that there's a very short timing segment at the exit of pit road, and that could be an issue with these drivers today. That is where they caught Harvick speeding. He'll restart at the rear of the field. We check with Marty as they come to the green.
Yeah, guys, real quick, Jeff Gordon is going to come back in 6 laps. So I was going to ask Larry Mack real quick, is the difference on new tires the reason Steve Letarte is doing that? So are they going to gain time here? That would seem like to me to be a logical decision. Take on new tires now, run 6 or 8 laps on them, and then see how much time you can gain.
No, the reason he's doing that, Marty, the reason he's doing that, he's going to come in and put fuel in. He'll only have to be there for a couple of 3 seconds, where if you change 4 tires, it's about 13 to 14 seconds.
NASCAR waving off the green. Another lap of yellow. We'll take a break under caution at Sonoma.
I never thought it could happen to me. Heart attack at 53. I had felt fine. But turns out my cholesterol and other risk factors increased my chance of a heart attack. I should have done something. Now I trust my heart to Lipitor.
When diet and exercise are not enough, adding Lipitor may help. Unlike some other cholesterol-lowering medications, Lipitor is FDA approved to reduce the risk of heart attack, stroke, and certain kinds of heart surgeries in patients with several common risk factors or heart disease. Lipitor has been extensively studied with over 16 years of research. Lipitor is not for everyone, including people with liver problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. You need simple blood tests to check for liver problems. Tell your doctor if you are taking other medications or if you have any muscle pain or weakness. This may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect.
I was caught off guard, but maybe you could learn from my story.
Have a heart-to-heart with your doctor about your risk and about Lipitor.
TNT in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in Sonoma, California. Coming to the green flag, NASCAR added a lap to make sure everybody was in the proper order for the restart. Kyle Busch, Brian Vickers on the front row. Busch got lane choice. The 12 and the 31 just jumped onto pit road. Here we go.
And you got to be careful, too. Some of these guys in the middle of the pack right here have fresh tires. And these guys up front have been on their tires. So they got to be really careful getting up into this corner right now. They don't run each other over.
Top 16 cars did not pit.
Not running each other, but they are running all over each other.
The 18 didn't get the jump on the start like the 83 did. New tires versus old tires, is that the reason? I don't know.
I would guess.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. You don't know. I mean, I'm not sitting in that car. I don't know what these guys are feeling or what they're thinking when they jump on the gas. But these guys on the old tires that have picked up trash, these things are skating right now.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is not like those guys that start regular restarts.
Boy, you see all the traffic the double file restart leads to. Fans love it. The drivers do not.
I'll tell you, everybody, so far, I've been really impressed. Everybody's done a really, really good job getting through that first couple of corners.
Ron Fellows said in the garage this morning, driving here after you've gone like 3 or 4 laps is like driving in the rain. That's how slick it is.
It's incredible. And especially, you know, you ride around out there, and Wally talked about it earlier. The racetrack was as clean as it was ever going to be. We've seen guys run off, knock their stuff off. You've seen flat tires come on, back on, throw gravel. AJ threw gravel all over the racetrack when he come on back home. Not his fault. That's just the way it is. These guys, they pick up all that on these hot tires. They're 220, 230 degrees. Pick up all that trash. No matter how much you scrub them off at this place, you don't get it all off.
Right. Well, not that, but the way these splitters are, too, you're picking up all the dirt and the rocks. And you've seen when a guy comes back on the track, they're dumping rocks and dirt all the way down the racetrack because there's stuff up inside the car and everything. And one of those little rocks on a hot tire is not good.
It sounds like going down a tar and gravel road, and it's just coming up under your car and just splattering everywhere. And that's the way it sounds. Surprisingly, you can hear it inside the car, but at the same time, it feels like you're on ice, like you say, when you try to turn it.
08 car, as Boris said, racing with Greg Biffle. How about it, Ralph?
Well, Bill, Larry McReynolds isn't the only one burning up the calculator right now. Listen to Frankie Stoddard. He's working his pretty hard as he communicates to his driver, Boris said.
Hey, conserve fuel here for me, okay? I want you to just conserve fuel on this run, okay? Conserve. I need you right now to be shutting it off and conserving all the way around.
Obviously, Boris did not hear that radio transmission because he is not saving fuel at all right now.
I think he thinks if you get up next to somebody really close and just root them out of the way, they'll carry you down the straightaway, because that's what he just did.
Oh, wow, the 11 gets in there way too tight and turns Boris around. He was way in there on the inside and had nowhere to go. And he turned left to miss the tires, and Boris got it.
Look at all those positions he just lost.
And that's the bad part. We talk about the double file restarts. That right there has the potential to happen at the top of this hill if you have a late caution. And that's when a great day can go for naught.
Yeah, watch down on the bottom there, the 11 car. Denny Hamlin's way down there. Then he has to turn to the left to miss the tires. Unfortunately, he hooked Boris in doing that.
Boy, Biffle and Earnhardt Jr. did a good job. Kevin Harvick stops for some fuel and then returns.
Well, that's his penalty, isn't it?
His penalty, he was started at the end. But at the same time, he was already at the end, so why not stop and put yourself on another sequence? And Larry will have to come back to us on that later in the race to see how that plays out, because I don't have a clue.
Larry will tell us after the race.
That's what I'm saying. But he will know. There's no doubt in my mind he's going to know.
Oh, here comes the leader. 26 laps complete, coming around to complete lap 27. Kyle Busch ducks onto pit road.
Okay, here, 35. Okay, pit road, guys.
Checking his pit road speed. Long, slow trip down pit road here.
It's painful, too, for a driver. It's a long ways.
Matt?
Bill, 35 miles per hour. It seems like it takes forever. His team up on the wall. Kyle Busch broke it down simply. I need help turning left, and I need help going straight on drive-off. Absolutely no grip. The car is so loose. But then he broke it down by corners. You can see the chassis adjustment already completed. So turn 2, it's tight. Turn 4, it's tight. If I hit the curbs, it's tight. If I hit the curbs just right, I'm good. Tires on. Little tug on the fender. He stalls it. He grabs it again, and he's away.
You see Martin Truex Jr. on pit road right behind him. We talked about that first gear this morning in the meeting.
A lot of times on the ovals, you only use first gear leaving the pits. That's your deal. You restart in second, you run up through the gears, second, third, fourth. Here you use every gear. And then when we first started coming out to road courses and these guys first started coming, they didn't use first gear. But these engines and the power curves and the torque range they have, they're able to drop these things down, use first gear, change their transmissions, and it's tough leaving the pits. It's tough on the clutch. That's tough on the clutch right there.
Your first gear is so long. It has to be a taller first gear to be able to use it on the racetrack, which doesn't make it the ideal gear for leaving the pits.
Tony Stewart is the race leader. The 83 of Brian Vickers, also Montoya on pit road. A couple of cars there.
Michael Waltrip.
Patrick Carpentier.
Sorry, Patrick, yeah.
That's right. I knew one of us was going to do it.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting me up though. So work being done on Vickers' car.
There you go. All these guys are having trouble. They're lighting it up, which is good. It gets them off. But boy, when that thing finally catches, it wants to stall the engine out. So, and these are good guys really having trouble with this right now.
Marty?
Bill, quick stop for Juan Pablo Montoya, and you see that excruciatingly slow coming off pit road in the Target Chevrolet. Very happy with the car. Lost a little forward bite at the end of that run. Half a pound out of both rear tires. Also a track bar adjustment. Trying to get the car just a little bit better for Juan. Very happy, though, Lindsay.
Marty, Brian Vickers, you just saw him come in and go out. They gave him 4 tires, made an air pressure adjustment. Ryan Pemberton, his crew chief, had been guiding him in, saying no pressure, guys. But Vickers, remember, had been talking about being a little bit loose in turn 4 and 7. They fixed that. He said turn 7 feels a lot better now, Bill.
Thanks, Lindsay. Tony Stewart is the race leader. He has not stopped. Here's the spin a moment ago.
Outside, you there, the 11 outside.
That's on board. Clint Boyer looking out the front bumper. Johnson's on pit road in front of Matt.
Johnson's in, track bar adjustment already completed, needed help in 7 and 11. Also, Chad Knaus broke it down that he felt like Jimmy needed to work on his braking in turn 11. They're losing some time there. He's away. The 14 to Stewart should be on pit road anytime.
Tony has not stopped. Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, Elliott Sadler, Reed Sorensen have not stopped. There you see Johnson returning to the track. Can tell you Boris said was running 19th when he spun, fell to 32nd.
All right, bud, remember pit road speed starts all the way around the corner to the yellow line.
3,400 first, 3,400 first, after the 07 car.
And pit road speed, when he said he's able to come around just like he's racing right now, because pit road speed starts right there. That's where pit road, even though they used to make it start way on the other side, and it killed you to come in the pits. But Tony run that corner just then, just like he was running on the racetrack. He was just in another groove.
Jimmy Johnson too fast entering pit road.
That's tough right there. Yeah. Because where we just showed Tony coming in, that's where the 48 got caught. Yeah.
Matt.
And Tony Stewart pitting just the first stall on the turn 1 side of the scoring tower. Now Stewart, his biggest complaint, forward bite. He's away. Good stop by the 14 guys. Air pressure change. He said he was wicked loose the first 2 laps of that run.
Casey Kane is scored as the race leader. 31 laps about to be completed. There's Kane in that number 9 Budweiser car.
And here's a guy.
Some mileage.
Yeah, here's a guy that got no mileage last week.
Yeah.
No mileage last week. So obviously, the guys in the engine department over there at RPM have worked on carburetors. Bill Pink and those guys, they spend a lot of time working on carburetors for fuel mileage.
But they're not running that.
Hey, guys, that's the reason he's still out there, because he needs to get a little deeper into this run before he makes that stop. If you look at the 4 cars that's not pitted, 3 of them are Richard Petty Motorsports cars. They need to get to about lap 32 to where they can make it on one more stop.
And Larry, that's not the new Dodge engine, right?
It is not, but they still do not get as good a fuel mileage. But the problem, Bill, when you look at Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, Elliott Sadler, who I think just hit pit road, Reed Sorensen, they're sweating bullets right now. If a caution comes out, they're dead in the water because they've got to come to pit road. All these other guys will be in front of them.
See, Larry, this is where crew chiefs confuse me. You're telling me he's running farther because he gets worse fuel mileage.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm confused. I don't need to go.
He's got to get there to be able to make it on one more stop.
And it makes perfect sense.
But how do you get there if you have bad fuel mileage?
But because he knows they can run about 38 laps, they still could go another 6 or 8 laps, Wally, but they've got to get to a point to where they can make it on one more stop, and they're not quite there yet.
This is a racy little bunch right here. Did you get all that?
No. And I'm sure Larry's right, but I just don't got it. I'll tell you, that was
close right there.
Yeah.
You saw the 11 car try to stuff it up in a place that nobody passes. That's not a place you pass unless the guy gives you some room. And Ryan Newman was not going to give him any room right there.
But as the race goes on, you're going to see these guys are going to have to get ugly with each other in order to force the moves, because you only have 2 spots. Here's one of them. But when you're getting down there to the end, you're going to see these guys put them in places that they normally wouldn't.
Ryan Newman heads for his pit stall. You got him, Ralph.
Ryan Newman is getting ready to make his way down pit road. They're going to drop the right side air pressure and the track bar down. 4 tires and fuel. He's been very loose in the S's. He feels like he's been losing a lot of time over there. Said earlier on the radio, I feel like I'm getting killed through the S's.
Boy, it takes a long time to get over there. See the 43 being pushed down pit road. To find out what happened to him.
Did you hear that? Man, he was on the gas on that thing. And they drop it. And you know, Wally and I talk about this, and you hear these cars leave. You heard the RPM. He was up in the RPM band trying to get that thing revving. So when he dropped the clutch, it's like setting at a stoplight and starting from a stoplight in your street car in 2nd or 3rd gear. That's how hard it is for these guys to get these things going. And they don't have time to get them chugging going, because that's even harder on a drivetrain.
Here comes Casey Kane.
3,700 first.
Another one, a long drive to you, Ralph.
Oh, and it seems like forever for these guys to come down pit lane. I'll tell you, one of the guys who's having the hardest part with that is the poor gas man, sitting here on the wall with that huge gas can, just sitting on their shoulders, waiting for the car to get to him. It is a brutal task, and then you have to stand up off the wall and go run to the car and throw the fuel in. Casey Kane's car is tight in turn 4. That seems to be the only problem he's talking about. So they're just going to make an air pressure adjustment to fix that, pitting on lap 33, right when they had planned on it, Bill.
Good job, Ralph. Come around to the left side on that Budweiser Dodge.
They aren't going to pack that thing of fuel. They're going to make sure.
And he stalled it.
I'm telling you, these guys are hard. The first gears in these cars are so tall. It's hard to explain. Kyle Chuck did a good job. But it's just hard to explain. Even when you drop the clutch, the thing wants to stall. It's like starting in 3rd gear instead of 1st gear. It's the best way to.
Yeah, it's not even like starting in 2nd gear. Yeah. It's like starting in 3rd gear, because these guys, you know, their 1st gear, they're carrying 40 or 50 miles an hour through these corners in 1st gear, and that's not like starting from 0.
Denny Hamlin is the race leader. Then it's Kurt Busch, Marcos Ambrose, who was 3rd in qualifying, has had a fast car here all weekend, had a nightmare day on Saturday, had to start at the rear of the field, now runs 3rd.
And this is, you know, some of the strategies, you know, Larry was talking about. If you can time it right, and you can get these cautions to come out at the right time for you, it's all a gamble. You are throwing the dice on this stuff all the time, as far as coming in early, coming in late. Right now, Marcos is sitting in a great spot. Now, I'm not sure how much further he can go or how many more laps he can go.
He can go for a while.
Probably about 20.
Yep. We'll see how it plays out. Under green in Sonoma.
So new Fuel Max tires help you save 2,600 miles worth of gas.
That's right.
Imagine if this race was 2,600 miles long.
We need a whole lot more popcorn.
Denny Hamlin is the race leader here in Sonoma. 36 laps are complete. We can tell you the 43 pushed back to the garage with a broken track bar for Reed Sorensen. NASCAR fans, let's look at this week's standings for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award. Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. continue to lead. Fans, don't forget to cast your vote for the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award from your AT&T phone. Text in the car number for the pit crew you think is the fastest and most valuable in each race to 2258. AT&T Fastest Pit Crew of the Year award delivered by AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network.
Well, you just saw Kurt Busch overtake Denny Hamlin, and Denny Hamlin just got out of his way. Pulled over to the side, said, yep, you're in my mirrors, and I know you're faster, so you go ahead and give it a shot.
And you know, but this is one of those places where you can use up all your equipment at this point in time in the race. This race, even though these guys run with...
Wow. He really locked the right front up there.
Even though and here comes Denny back. Yeah. It's like, okay, if you don't want to lead, I'll lead then. Okay, let me go.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, even though these guys run like their tongues are hanging out every lap, these guys drive really hard. You still got to have something there at the end if it comes down to a green, white checkered or a 10-lap sprint race.
But I'll tell you what, you can use your equipment on worse by mirror driving.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing. Once you get in the lead, you start running harder and you start looking in that mirror and that's when you start making mistakes and locking tires up.
Every time when I used to drive 100 years ago, I would use my equipment up because most of the time when I looked in the mirror, I'd run off the racetrack. So, and that was just, it's hard to gauge all that stuff. These guys are focused on their points. They're focused on their marks. You see him drift out. He's already picked his mark. You never drive off the hood of these cars.
Yeah.
You drive way out, and here's another spin. That's the second time Bobby's been out through there. Probably not of his making either.
Well, 150 years ago when I was driving, Kyle, I used to not run a really big mirror on the road courses just for the fact because I didn't want to know what was there.
And the other thing is this, and you bring up a good point here. Not about 150 years ago. That's not the point. That's not. But these guys don't use spotters here like you use on the ovals. On the ovals, you hear the spotters inside, outside. Guys looking to the peak, or peeking here, peeking there. These guys don't use spotters that way. They actually drive the cars and have to use the mirrors themselves. So you've thrown something else into the mix that they have to do that they're not. They're good with it because they're professional drivers and they're the best in the business, but you're just not used to it.
And just to show you how wacky these races can play out, right now Tony Stewart is 15th after leading, Kyle Busch 16th, and Matt Kenseth is up to 4th. And Lindsay, they got some kind of a game plan, huh?
Well, they do have a game plan, Bill, and they're really honestly trying to barter. In fact, Matt Kenseth, I think, would like to bring his car in now because he's got a tire rub in the right rear, but he's trying to work things out. His crew chief says that's not exactly what he wants him to do. Listen in.
You got to save us 3 laps, Matt. If you can save us 3 laps, that's going to get us close to our window. Can you do it? 3 laps or 2 cautions, Matt. Can you help us out there? 3 laps, including the cautions we ran? 3 laps. You need to save us 3 laps this run. Include that extra caution? The extra caution lap. You need to save us 3 laps.
Larry, can we open up, Larry?
Yeah, he wants them to save 3 laps plus the caution lap.
There's no...
That's an awful lot to save. And what I'll say now, you know, we're roughly a third of the way through this race. And it just looks like that we're not getting a lot of cautions. Now, look at Ambrose sitting there who pitted on lap 12. You know, we talked about it. He's looking, if he wants to make this a 2-stop race, he's got to run 49 laps. But I think when I look at Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano, that all pitted on lap 22, what they've got to do if they want to make this a 2-stop race is they've got to get to lap 66. They've got to run 44 laps per run, which I think for some of these guys is definitely doable. But we know guys like Tony Stewart, like Jeff Gordon, Casey Kane, those guys that pitted later on under green, we know they can make it on one more stop. I don't think you'll win this race making 3 stops.
But my point is, Larry, that you're talking about saving 3 laps. That's 5 or 6 gallons.
Well, when you figure, Wally, that it's roughly 2 miles around this racetrack, and they're getting about 4.6 miles to the gallon, if you kind of do the math there, that's asking to save a lot. But if you go back to last week, look at how much fuel those guys save.
Yeah, but this is a different animal.
It is, because you're running off the gas so much.
Yeah, you can save gas at Pocono. You can save gas at Michigan. You can't save that kind of gas on a road course because you're on
Wally, I have learned after 30 years, never say never.
I'm not saying never say never. I'm saying that you can't save as much.
Okay.
I don't think you can save as much fuel on a road course as you can on an oval. There's too much on and off the throttle, and you're up gears, down gears. It's just, you know, if you're going to save a lot of gas on a road course, you're going to be 2 or 3 seconds a lap slower, and you're going to be getting run over.
But we almost know a lot of these guys are going to have to get up there to about lap 64 to 5. If we see them get to that point, we know they're probably in good shape.
We were just on board with Carl Edwards. He's in 8th. Boris Said has worked his way back to 9th. Hamlin leads at Sonoma.
When you live on the edge of the law,
I run a special unit, deep cover.
What would you sacrifice?
I'm not worried about when you come back. I'm worried about who you are when you do.
How close would you go?
You have to build a case from the inside out. Get in deep.
Without going over.
They have you on video dumping the body!
Dylan McDermott.
Your own backyard is the Wild West.
In television's most dangerous new world. Dark Blue. New series premiere Wednesday, July 15th at 10. Right after an all-new Leverage on TNT.
42 laps are complete here in Sonoma. Denny Hamlin is the race leader, chased by Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano up to 4th. David Reagan is 5th. Elliott Sadler has had an off-track excursion just a moment ago. We can show you that.
Yeah, this is coming through turn 10, leading onto the last corner, and he just missed his mark just a little bit. And Kyle and I were talking in the break. Real lucky. We've seen guys really wad race cars up going off that corner.
Yeah, wad race cars. I've seen practice shut down for about an hour while you get the car from between the wall and the tires that are out there. Who is this?
Rudeman. You saw on the well, I'll tell you what happened. This isn't his favorite place.
Got in there, jumped the curb, got into you.
Saw that Elliott Sadler was on pit road. He has been black flagged to come back and get some of that damage repaired. There's Rudeman.
Oh, and you see the 48 all the way on the other side of the curb.
Yeah, that wasn't really Rudeman's fault on that one. That was the 48's fault.
Yeah,
very good.
The 48 got in there and committed, and then he went all the way to the other side of the curb almost. So that was not David's fault, whether he likes the place or not.
And the 48's back there because of that speeding penalty.
Because he had a speeding penalty, and he had a speeding penalty under green. You know, a lot of times you get the question, why is one penalty different than the other penalty? Some happen under caution, some happen under green. Under caution, it's okay. You just go to the end of the longest line, and that's the way it's been, you know, unless they've changed it. But that's where you go because the race is not going. But when you get a green flag speeding penalty, at an oval, it's a nail in your coffin. That's the way it is. Here, it's not that bad, but he is back in traffic.
Matt, what are you working on?
Bill down in the 14 of Tony Stewart started 4th. He's led last, but it's kind of a combo platter of work in progress. Not only talking about the handling of the car, which had made some improvements, but also fuel mileage.
Tires are much better this run. Still, I need to turn a little bit, but I'm turning as good as everybody in front of me.
Our fuel mileage didn't come out quite like we planned there, but we're going to keep working on it here.
Goes back to the balance that they've worked on all weekend with this 14 car. They've been trying to find more fuel mileage, detooling the motor. It's just that fine line, that balance, Wally, Bill, and KP.
Right behind him, the 24, Jeff Gordon. Marty, you're watching the 24 today?
Yeah, Bill, this is very interesting. We have a couple of races going on, as you guys have mentioned. The guys up front that pitted at lap 22. The guys behind, Gordon and Stewart, that pitted at lap 28. So really, this could be the battle for the lead between Stewart and Gordon back here. Just radioed from Steve Letarte to Jeff Gordon in about about 3 laps. They're going to back you down some RPMs. Going to have to save some fuel. Even these guys who pitted on lap 28, thinking about saving fuel, as Matt just mentioned with Tony Stewart as well, in the middle part of this run, so they can be good for the last part of the run. That's all that math that Larry Mack was confusing us with earlier, guys.
These things really can turn out in a strange fashion.
And there's multiple races going on.
Well,
here.
sure there are.
While we're talking about this race, there's guys up front. We had Casey Kane, who stayed out longer than anybody else to get in the fuel window, so he's at the back of the pack now trying to get caught back up.
Take us around there, WD.
Well, let Jeff take us around. Going up through turn 1 here. And we talked about earlier, these guys are shifting a lot because of the gear rule and things that they have to work with. They're shifting actually a lot less than they used to. I believe, was he in second gear right there?
He pulled back last time, so I'm going to say
second gear right there. And he leaves it in second when we're watching him practice anyway, all the way until turn 7, which is through this right-hander and the next right-hander.
And you can watch the RPMs. There he goes to first.
Yeah, and then he goes to first. But it used to be we would have made 5 or 6 gear shifts by that time.
But as they developed the transmissions and the engines, these engines will pull better at 2,500 to like 9 or 10,000, whatever they pull to 9,000 or so. Unlike they used to, we had to keep them in the RPM band.
Right.
The RPM band is so much wider, and the torque band is so much wider. These guys have a lot more room to work. But that's why they use first gear also.
Now, before we went to commercial, we were talking about Marcos Ambrose, who was running in the top 5. He pitted on lap 41, so the 47 car currently runs 26th. And they're really going to need some help here to get back up front. See how that works out for Marcos. Denny Hamlin leads by 2 seconds in Sonoma.
It gives the world fewer smog-forming emissions.
TNT Sports back at the road course in Sonoma. Fans want more TNT coverage. The Coke Zero in-car camera on Race Buddy lets you vote for and ride shotgun with Coca-Cola racing family drivers. Check out the Coke Zero in-car camera on NASCAR.com's Race Buddy and cast your vote now. That's Clint Boyer's look out the front bumper.
Clint's given us some good shots. I mean, he's been up on the curb. He's been in the back of somebody. he's been a little bit of everywhere.
in the wrong direction.
Yeah, but he's given us some good shots today. You got to give it to him.
That camera's made it through, 49 laps so far. That's pretty good.
It's a great shot. I love that shot.
I can tell you that Reed Sorensen has returned to the race. He is 14 laps down in the 43 car. Now, the 1 is Martin Truex Jr. The 71 is Gilliland. That's basically a loaner or a rented car from Truex.
Yeah, the TRG guys had some trouble. Here's the 71 of Gilliland. There's one guy on the track that you don't want to get into, and it's either your teammate or the guy that lent you a car. And it's just Murphy's Law. It always works out that way.
Yeah, here, buddy, I'm going to give you a $100,000 race car, and then I'm going to run into you with it, okay? That's the way it works. But that's
and that wasn't on purpose.
No, not at all.
David got in there hot. And those guys have struggled. I mean, they really had a lot of hope for this weekend, and David kind of did a bonehead move in practice and had to borrow this car.
1.99 miles.
Yeah, let's talk about what happened in practice. And what happened, I'm sure David was coming out of the pits. John Andretti's in front of him. David's probably looking at his gauges or doing stuff that he's not paying attention, and just clobbered John, who was trying to come out on the track and not getting these other guys' way. And I mean, it ruined that 71 car.
And I want to say something here. That can happen to anybody. Jeff Gordon did the same thing to Bobby Hamilton driving for the 43 team at Atlanta.
That's right.
On an oval track back, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago. And you do. You get to looking at gauges, tightening your belts one last time. Somebody's talking to you, you just lose focus.
David told me this morning he thought he saw Andretti go, so he thought he was clear, and he was looking in the mirror, watching for the traffic to go by because it's so hard to merge at that point.
But how many times have you been sitting at a stop sign, looking to the left, and the car in front of you think it drove off?
No
and
comment.
It didn't?
No comment.
Yeah, no comment from me either. That's what I'm saying.
Last week I had to do a whoa, Bill. Trust me, it was close.
Look at Montoya here.
Gordon runs in the 15th position. Montoya right behind him. Marty?
Yeah, Bill, last 2 laps, Jeff Gordon's lost 4 positions only because Steve Letarte told him to back off. Remember, we told you he was going to say that at some point. That happened while we were in commercial, actually, and Gordon backed off immediately. In about 2 seconds, he's saving per lap, trying to gain 1 lap of fuel under green. So playing the strategy, letting people go by.
All kinds of strategy. Take a look at today's UPS maximum driver. Juan Pablo Montoya has 3 top 6 finishes, including 1 win in his 4 career road course races. This race season, look for David Reagan to take on the delivery drivers of UPS in maximum driver. It's Hamlin, Kurt Busch, and Matt Kenseth running first, second, and third. Joey Logano runs 4th, and right behind him is Boris Said. Now, this is Said as a road course racing veteran. This is a one-off for him. Points don't matter. He's really here, A, to get in the race, and then B, to win it. Then you got the guy in front of him, Logano, in his first road course race in a Sprint Cup Series car.
And you kind of got to give a shout out to both of them. I think Joey has done a great job. I watched him race with some guys that were just wearing his rear bumper out, and he just kept running his line and running his pace. You look at the 08, what they say about in Europe, when you drive a car under anger for the first time, or it's a European pace. Let me tell you, once he got spun out, he's been driving at anger ever since he got spun out down there. He's trying to catch back up.
How about it, Ralph?
Well, here's the nightmare with a race like this. On the one hand, crew chief Frankie Stoddard tells Boris, okay, you got 15 more laps to go before we pit. So I need you to go 7/8 throttle through there, ease it up, get me some fuel back. And then all of a sudden he goes, go get him, cowboy. So now what do you do?
Hey, Ralph, are you hearing, are these guys saying anything about the brakes at this point? Noticing, you know, Boris is pumping the brake pedal, and sometimes that almost comes automatic on a road car. So they commenting on brakes at all?
Allmendinger had just gotten his lap back.
Oh. Yeah, Denny had him locked up. Wow. There's not a whole lot he could do on that.
Sorry about that, Wally. The only thing I can tell you about that, as far as what I've heard up and down pit road, is just one person complaining about brakes, and it was very brief, and that was Marcus Ambrose, who just said a while back, my brakes are a little soft. He's not really complaining, just saying they're a little soft. That's the only thing I've heard.
Marcos runs in the 19th position. Mark Martin is 20th. It's Denny Hamlin, Kurt Busch, Matt Kenseth, Joey Logano, then Boris Said, the top 5 with 52 complete at Sonoma.
Moments that change the game, brought to you by Viagra. June 22nd, 2003. In Infineon Raceway, Robbie Gordon started second. He led 81 laps and beat Jeff Gordon by half a second for the victory. That was Robbie's last top 10 finish at this track. He also won at Watkins Glen that year for a road course sweep.
TNT Sports back at Sonoma under caution for debris. There you see the safety worker.
Easy there.
He had to wait a while, too, because of all the traffic, all the cars going by.
Okay, and I know that doesn't look like a lot. Okay, and you're sitting at home saying that doesn't look like a lot of debris. Notice where it was at, right next to the curb. That's where those guys are running. That's right dead in the groove, right with their left front tire, right as they come through there. So that's an important thing. You can't have, we run off the racetrack and scatter enough stuff. If it's on there, they need to get it off.
A.J. Allmendinger is the lucky dog. Tony Stewart is among the cars headed for pit road. Marty, Jeff Gordon's heading for you.
Yeah, Bill, from 16th, Jeff Gordon will pit here. Steve Letarte made the call. This is the same strategy they used last time. Take your tires here. They'll run about 15 laps or so, come back in for fuel. Then they'll decide whether they take tires that time. Matt?
Jeff Gooch Patterson inserts the dry brake, fueling up the 14 car. Now, they were a few laps short, very close on mileage. They felt like they might be a couple laps short of making it. A one more stop. They were hoping for a caution and one more chance. He's away. Ralph.
Casey Kane making a pit stop in the number 9. He just radioed in and told the guys, this is the greatest car I have ever had at this racetrack. I don't know if it's fast enough, but it's the best handling car I've ever had. They're very happy, very minor adjustments, 4 tires of fuel, and he'll be back underway.
Wow, Jimmy Johnson getting out of his pit stall in a hurry.
Ooh, almost too much of a hurry. He got nailed on that last time.
That's right. Kevin Harvick also on pit road, and you see some of the other guys that have made their stops under this caution. We'll reset the running order. They'll get one to go next time by under caution at Sonoma. This is NASCAR on TNT. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series rocking and rolling here at Infineon Raceway in Sonoma, California. 55 laps are complete halfway through this race. Be a double file restart shootout style with Denny Hamlin and Kurt Busch up front. What are you laughing at?
The title of our restarts. This is no double file, okay?
They're
It'll
double
be easier
file.
on you.
Shootout style.
Jeff Gordon too fast entering pit road. We'll have to restart at the rear of the field. Log on to NASCAR.com now and watch up to 4 live camera angles at once with the TNT Race Buddy Mosaic View. TNT Race Buddy, he hangs out at NASCAR.com. Here's today's field summary at the halfway mark, brought to you by Burger King. Just a couple of cautions.
That could be. I'm anxious to see. I think Kurt Busch is going to give Hamlin a run here up into turn 1. Somebody's going to make it. Somebody's going to be on that outside, I think, and be up there far enough to where they're going to go through side by side at least.
Blaney and P.J. Jones are the 2 cars out of the race that you saw on that graphic.
I'm with you, Wally, and I'm going to tell you, that 2's been knocking on that door. He would run up and catch him and then kind of back up and let his car breathe. And it's like, he's not really a lot faster than the 11, it doesn't appear, but he's faster in different places than the 11 is. So it's like if he could get out and get in front of him, keep him trapped on the outside, he might be able to do something.
If he can get a good jump, it's just he's still smoking that right front. I don't know if that's a brake bias thing or what's going on there, but Lindsay, what's Kurt saying?
Well, right now on the radio, he's saying that it's vibrating a little bit like crazy. And he's happy, though, because they're going to pit in 11 laps. That's the plan. And he said if we do that, it's right by our fuel window, which is about 66. So, in essence, he is right where they want to be. 10 more, he'll be in, is what they say.
Very good.
All right, well, we'll see if, like I said, I think Kurt's going to give it a shot anyway.
Top 18 cars, if I read this correctly. 19 cars did not stop. Top 19 did not stop. Jeff Gordon is the second to last in line after the speeding penalty on pit road. Inside lane for Hamlin. Everybody hang on.
Couldn't do it. I think he spun the tires. It looked like the 2 spun the tires when it got to green. He's all over him, though.
Boy, they got bottled up behind him there.
The 77 rooted Boris out of the way there just a little bit, but then couldn't capitalize on it. Oh, look at
26. McMurray dropped the wheel, but he got back on. No harm, no foul.
Boy, Carl Edwards all over Hornish.
All right, now we're going to get jamming up here.
Right side. Keep coming right side 99.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
That's the 02 possibly.
Brandon Ash.
I'm going to tell you, where you saw him go through that one area there, side by side, that's like getting 2 cars and run and start for a garage stall and trying to get them both through there and the garage at the same time.
He was running in the top 20.
We got some more dirt flying up there, and that looks like Mark Martin might be in a little bit of trouble.
Might be in more trouble.
Yeah, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He must have a tire or something. He must have a tire issue because Mark's way slow.
Got to be a rear tire. Look how high the valence is off the ground. Look how right rear.
Trying to get over.
You could see how high the valence was, and poor, the 29 car Harvick. Harvick had no place to go.
He got clobbered. That's why the right rear's down. Somebody got into him hard.
Yeah, he got that tire driven off the wheel. Somebody got into him and just knocked the tire off the wheel.
There you see, clean there. I think that was the Brandon Ash situation. And then the next corner is where Mark got drilled.
And Brendan's an innocent guy in this case. He was on the outside. Tony just stuffed it down in there 3 wide and pinned them. Well, there you see. 17.
That's Matt Kenseth.
And
Kenseth drilled him.
17 drives back across, and the 17's trying to spin and get going again. He runs in the back of Mark.
Let's go on board with Kevin Harvick.
Too ready, slow on the right.
Oh, that's already Mark's in trouble there.
Yep.
Nothing like getting hit when you have a right rear flat. Boy, that's fun
and turning you over and turning you that way, so you're on that right rear. That's incredible. But Kevin just got down in there and couldn't go anywhere.
Down to pit road.
And guys, the tire from Mark Martin's car here, and amazing that he was able to limp this thing back home because they had to pit here on lap 57. Mark Martin will be 11 laps short, and they had just gotten the car to where Mark wanted it, of course, and now they're going to be way short on fuel.
Yeah, Mark's, I don't even know. I'll have to get Larry in on this one. I don't know if Mark's got a strategy now that can get him the track position.
We saw Matt Kenseth go around. He fell from 3rd to 36th. And Mark Martin currently runs in the 39th position. There's your leader, Denny Hamlin.
Man, those Gibbs cars pour some black smoke. They look like diesels. Watch the 11 car, especially when it comes to turn 1. There's a lot of black smoke that comes out of that exhaust pipe.
Love that camera.
That's a great shot right there.
And it's let me just say, it's a lot closer than it looks too. When you're even the shot that we're seeing from it, you're right out there on that wall, man.
Behind Hamlin is Kurt Busch, and then it was then you'll find the two drivers we talked about. Boris Said, the veteran, in the 08, and Joey Logano, the rookie, in the 20 car, the Home Depot ride.
And we haven't talked about the 77 much either. He's in 5th spot. Cornish is doing a pretty good job, and he was another one of those cars, like I said, in final practice, was running hard. Him and Montoya.
Montoya in the 42, then Brian Vickers, the pole sitter, and Earnhardt Jr. behind them.
And we hadn't talked a lot about Earnhardt Jr.
Inside.
Wow, that's impressive to try to make an out-braking move on Montoya.
And Earnhardt was going to try and follow him through, couldn't get it done. Boy, that's impressive to pass Juan.
No kidding.
Marty?
Yeah, Juan Pablo Montoya just now radioing Ryan Patty, saying I need a little more forward bite. Very calm in the car. He has not said much about the chassis today, trying to figure out this fuel strategy. They're going to pit about lap 68 with a lot of other guys on pit road as well.
It's about 9 laps from now.
I'm going to tell you, Junior's wearing his rear bumper out right here.
He is.
He's inside, he's outside. And this is something I don't expect a lot from Junior, because I've never seen him show me much on a road course. I'm just going to be honest and throw that out there. But he's doing a pretty good job today. Started 35th, drove up a lot of positions.
I don't think Junior's ever had a top 10 on a road course.
Yeah, he has struggled, you know, at a lot of places. And you know, remember, he was burned in that accident out here running some stuff.
Right.
It's not something that he enjoys doing, but I got to give him a thumbs up on this one. You can race with Montoya and kind of wear his rear bumper out if you're doing something.
Now, did he stop and get tires, the 88? Is he on fresh tires?
No, the 88 last stopped on lap 30.
Okay. He and Montoya are pretty much on equal tires right here. So there's Carl right behind him. But these guys are, these cars, the top 10 is a pretty decent group of cars right there. You see 47 jumping to the inside of the 18 right here.
42, and he's looking underneath Montoya. Not going to give him a whole lot of room, but almost.
Larry?
Bill, there's no question the fastest car on the racetrack right now is Marcos Ambrose in that 47 car. And I think the reason, remember, he pitted under green at lap 41, so his tires are about 20 laps fresher than everybody he's racing. I think what Frankie Kerr, his crew chief, and Marcos will have to do here is we're going to see all these guys he's racing right now come to pit road shortly. He's trying to make as much ground as he can on these fresher tires, but I don't think he can stay out there long after those guys hit pit road, because then the role will be reversed. I think once those guys come, they can't be far behind.
Wow, these guys are really
Oh! Cornish goes around off the front of Kyle Busch and got him back.
And Kyle Busch.
Still behind.
Locked up that right going.
And then Kyle Busch falls forward and gets into the side of the 83 as he pulls off.
But Kyle Busch just got in there a little bit too hot, and he locked up that right front, and he just slid into Hornish.
And we see the damage on the 18 right here. Did that come from the spin, or did that come when he tried to gas up and run into the side of the 83? Now we see the 83.
Vickers is off.
But he got run into he got run into that right rear quarter panel, just like we saw some of the other guys.
He's got something broke, or flat. Let's take a look here. He gets in hot, and he just slides straight. He can't turn the car because he's got the right front locked. spins around, and couldn't tell who gave that shot
right
there.
here.
But watch, he can't turn the car. When you got the right front lock like that, it's really hard to turn the car. So Cornish gets clobbered. Now watch the right
83
front.
right here.
83 breaks there, goes to the inside. And then watch him get knocked off.
Boom.
Right there.
And that's why he's got either
And all
something
that
broken in the
smoke.
right rear or he's got a flat right rear, the 83 car.
That's the pole sitter, Brian Vickers. So Denny Hamlin leads, Kurt Busch is second, then Boris Said, Marcus Ambrose. Joey Logano's in that fourth spot in between them. Wow, starting to get wild at Sonoma. Beautiful afternoon, Sonoma, California. TNT with the Toyota Save Mart 350 for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. 63 laps are complete. Denny Hamlin is the race leader. Dale Earnhardt Jr. runs in the 12th position. Jr. no top 10s at this track, but he has finished 3rd, 5th, and 10th on a road course. All of those at Watkins Glen. So he's looking for his first top 10 finish here at Infineon. Time for an Ask the Booth question from Race Buddy. On road courses, why are you drivers able to shift without a clutch?
I'll take a stab at it, and then Kyle can save me on it. The way these boxes are, the gears are what they call like a straight cut gear, and they just match better when you're shifting. And if you all you have to do is slow the engine down, slow the gearbox down with your left foot on the brake, and then you blip the throttle as you're downshifting or upshifting, and it's a better fit. They used to have those synchros where there's a lot of rings and pins and stuff like that with the gearboxes, and they weren't very strong. But the way they are now, you could do it because they're of the straight cut gears.
Yeah, and these guys are really good at it. Because they're learning on these transmissions. You know, when a lot of guys that are, if you take my group as a cutoff, and the guys before me and stuff, we all learned double clutching and stuff. Yeah. And you had to match everything. These guys learn on this, like Joey Logano, you see him right here. He learns on this stuff, so he'll be better and better and better and continue to get better. You see Harvick just blipped that thing just a minute ago, right as he shifted it.
Yeah, and you won't use the clutch, but listen. Now, once he's coming into this last corner, you'll watch him downshift right through here. It's all pedal work. It's just dancing. See how he's blipping it? He's on the brake, and he's just blipping the throttle as he's downshifting all at the same time. And it's all about timing and rhythm, and it's not something you pick up right away. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of work to figure it out. But once you do it, it's a lot of fun.
So his teammate Clint Boyer head for pit road. This is the battle for second.
Now these guys are they're running each other pretty hard right now. We'll see if Kurt gives him any room down here in turn 7.
You think?
No. But Tony, let's try to set him up here. Yeah, I think he will now. Yeah, I mean, Tony's by him, but this is a safe place to pass and a safe place to let somebody get in front of you.
Stewart stopped on lap 54. Kurt Busch hasn't been to pit road since lap 22. And these leaders that last stopped around that lap 22, lap 30 area are getting very close to returning to pit road. Okay, we saw Kyle Busch have some trouble. Let's get an update from Matt.
Bill, when you look at the big picture for Kyle Busch, back on lap 51, Steve Addington told him, let's stick to our game plan. All we have to do is stop one more time, and we are good to go. The other contenders can't make it on one more stop. And then the spin, he brought the car in, he shut it off in their pit box. They went to work on the right front. He said that something definitely felt like it was bent. The handling definitely had gone away. They worked on it. He lost over a lap on pit road. He simply said, we are done. Our day is over.
And he's right. And, you know, those guys have run good this year. I mean,
yes.
they have run good, and they should be well into the top 10 in points, but they've just been inconsistent, and things like this is what takes you out of, you know, being in the top 12.
Marty?
Bill, Carl Edwards leaving pit road. These are the guys that stopped on lap 22. And I just talked to Bob Osborne. They can make it all the way from here. We'll see if this strategy works out, Matt.
I don't know, Marty, if any driver has put more effort into trying to run well this weekend than Joey Logano. Came out here, he drove in a late model, really picked up the game. His car this run was still loose and made a track bar adjustment and an air pressure change in the rear tires to try to give him more forward bite. Lindsay?
Matt, Matt Kenseth brings his car in. He had said that the front end damage had not caused an overheating problem, but they're rethinking this. He said they're going to have to fix some of that body damage. They'll give him 4 tires and fuel. They last pitted on lap 22.
Yeah, he's got some issues there. He's got a lot of damage to the left front of that car.
These guys that stopped on lap 22 ran 44 laps on fuel. We have 44 to go. They were helped by some caution flag laps. Denny Hamlin now heads for his pit stall. Scheduled length is 110 laps. 67 are complete. Hamlin with that long drive down this winding pit road. Lindsay?
Bill, there you see the number 2 of Kurt Busch. I got to tell you, this is exactly what they wanted as far as pit strategy. They're giving him 4 fresh tires, going around out on reg. Right now, he says the car feels pretty good, Ralph Shaheen.
Denny Hamlin is in, the race leader. Watch the fuel man. Scott Wood, he's the most important part of this stop. He is going to be packing this car full of fuel. No changes. There he goes. He can't go the distance from here, Lindsay.
Yeah, you know what? Greg Biffle is in the 16 car. There you see him. His car chief working on the car. There you go. Goes away. They gave him 4 tires, fuel. Greg says right now a little bit loose, but should be tightening them up.
And Kurt Busch beat Denny Hamlin out. And that's big.
Here's the race off of pit road.
It's a lot easier to pass somebody in the pits than it is on the racetrack.
That's for sure. Boris said too fast exiting.
Under green.
That will be a dreadfully long pass-through penalty.
Oh, that hurts.
We saw how long it took Jimmy Johnson. He's just now back in the top 10 through pit strategies, some other stuff, to get back after his pass through under green.
And it's a long, long ways on this pit lane.
Tony Stewart, the race leader.
Oh!
For now.
And that was it. He just locked up the right front. And like when you see these guys go sailing off into the corner because the car doesn't turn, it's because the right front isn't turning.
Mr. McReynolds?
Guys, these guys leading the race, like Stewart, Kane, Robbie Gordon, Ambrose, I just think the minute they get to their window that they can make it, they don't need to stretch this out. 2 things. One, those guys that just pitted are getting advantage of fresh tires. The other thing, if a caution comes out, we know the guys that just pitted, they're staying out, and these guys will be forced to come to pit road. I just think at the minute the window opens for their fuel, they better get to pit road.
Larry.
Yes.
Does that window get you to 110?
Yes.
Or does it get you to 112 or 113?
Well, again, Bill, I know that you're thinking about building a little bit of insurance, and at a road course, that's not a bad thing. But if we don't have a caution, I think the chance of us having a green-white checkered is kind of far in between because the cars are getting so spread out. I'd rather go off the assumption this race is going to go 110 if I want to try to win this race.
Thank you, sir. Montoya to Marty.
From the 6th position, just like Larry Mack said, they wanted to pit as soon as they could. He said it's loose everywhere, especially turn 7. They're going to make a wedge adjustment, trying to tighten it up a little bit. He feels like the top of the hill is where he's giving up the most time. 4 tires for him. Behind him, Jeff Gordon. 4 tires for Gordon. It's still extremely loose for Gordon. On the last stop, though, they pulled spring rubbers. They drop a lug nut on the left rear. Another long stop for Jeff Gordon and his team. Matt?
And his teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. pitted on lap 22, then came back in for fuel only on 30. Jr. and now his biggest complaint is absolutely no forward bite.
Looked like they had a lug nut issue there, too.
They got after it pretty quick, I think. Saw the NASCAR official pointing.
These teams know how critical it is to gain any 1/10 of a second you can on pit road, and sometimes it just gets away from you down there.
Yeah, just that little deal with Gordon. I mean, I didn't have a watch on it, but you're figuring that was an extra 3 or 4 seconds right there. And 3 or 4 seconds on a racetrack's a ton.
When you look at it and it looks slow, it's slow.
Yeah.
And you don't see that a lot from that team. That team very rarely makes mistakes. We saw Tony last week. His guy made a little bobble on the front, still was able to recover. Tony came back. When you do it on a road course, these guys are at the top of the hill and gone by the time you come off pit road.
And you see Boris said was behind Stewart. He got his lap back.
He's at the tail end of the lead lap. Stewart is the race leader under green in Sonoma.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing, brought to you by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing, That's the power of the Home Depot. By Off Track with Tony Stewart, presented by Armor All. An exclusive video series that puts you behind the scenes with racing superstar Tony Stewart. To watch now, go to NASCAR.com/ArmorAll. By Sprint, the Now Network, and by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
72 laps are complete. Casey Kane has been to pit road. Jimmy Johnson has been to pit road. Tony Stewart is the race leader, about 4 seconds ahead of Robbie Gordon. A report on Stewart from Matt Yoakum.
Bill, Tony Stewart's opened up almost a 5-second lead. This is recent conversation between he and Darian Grubb.
I'm hoping this will be one of those deals where we get a caution there towards the end and break the windows up. You get a faster car, we'll go get them. I like that strategy. It's a hell of a lot better than just riding around here. It's a lot cooler to watch you go out there and pass those cars. I think it's pretty dang fast. Yeah, it's fun today, man. At the beginning there, I was a little worried.
6 laps ago, Darian Grubb gave him the green light. So go ahead and go as hard as you can. Give me 6 good laps, and then our window opens. The guys are on the wall. They're waiting for Stewart to come any lap now.
Jeff Burton has had an off-course excursion. He's back on the track in the 31 car. You see Tony leading the race, last pitted on lap 54. We're working lap 74 right now. These road course races, you have to hope the strategy comes to you.
Well, it kind of has for Robbie. I mean, Robbie Gordon's sitting up there in second spot right now, and it wasn't long ago I looked back and I went, well, I wonder what's wrong with Robbie. He's back in 32nd.
Robbie Gordon runs right behind Tony Stewart on the track. He's 5 seconds behind him on the clock. Here he comes. Foot cam for Robbie Gordon. He's through turn 11.
And Robbie was, I think he was the fastest car in final practice yesterday.
You get here, buddy. Doing good.
And his feet are high on those pedals.
3 more.
Way high. Yeah, it's like in the middle of his foot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, it's like,
usually use like the ball of your foot to hit the meat of the pedal, but his feet, both the throttle and the brake, are way high.
And you know, we've looked at the foot pedals in 3 or 4 different cars. Every set of pedals is different, and that's just driver preference. It's how you want to hit it, how much pressure, where's your pressure point on your foot, how you look at the accelerator, how you look at the rest of it.
Some of the pedals are mounted, are floor mounts.
Yeah.
Some are mounted up from the top.
It's incredible, man. Everybody, you step back and you look at these cars, and they all look the same except for the paint jobs on them, and then you get to looking at little things like that, and it's just driver preference. He's on the brake and the gas at the same time, you know, and you see a lot of that. And that's not something you do on an oval track. Even at a Martinsville or a place like that, you don't use your feet like this. And that's why these guys, as you talk about a Robbie Gordon, talk about a Max Pappas, who's done a great job today. I thought he was back in the top 10 or 12 a minute ago looking at the thing. He's fallen back after he pitted. But you look at some of these guys, they learn it, and they learn that dance early, and they do it so well, man. And you know, the Cup guys have always had that knock. We don't know how to do it, or they don't know how to do it.
Leader on pit road. Tony Stewart heads for his pit. Matt?
Some slight damage to the right front bumper. Jeff Gooch Patterson, the gas man. The first 88 pounds of fuel goes in, then Gooch and Scott Radel. Radel holds the can, Gooch retakes it, and Stewart's away to Ralph.
Jimmy Watts is going to get his turn with the gas can, Matt. He's the guy working the big can for Marcus Ambrose. Here he comes over. He's also got a wrench in his hand. They're going to make some track bar adjustments here. There you see the shift with the gas can. They think they're pretty good. They're going to take 4 tires of fuel, and they think they can go all the way from here. I asked them if they were good with their strategy. Frankie Kerr said, kind of. Kevin Harvick's been running good lap times. They wanted to stay out as long as they could because their car was running so well.
And that was a, man, I was just getting ready to say that was a good, clean pit stop for the 47, and that's what they needed.
Man. Bobby's just trying to find the track at this point in time. Yeah. I mean, but you can't see anything. There's so much dust, the car's full of dust, and that's not a knock. You're just trying to find the racetrack. Now he's going to pull over here and try to get a caution.
I don't think I'm interested to see how much damage the 47's got, but, and there is the caution. Robbie may get out of that mess.
Yeah.
Now this works pretty good for the 47 car.
But look at all that gravel. Now, as we talked earlier, look at all this gravel.
Continue to watch it fall
as it falls off the side there. That's incredible, man. And that's what, when your tires are hot, these guys will get up there before they get a chance to sweep that off. So a lot of these guys that have just pitted and have hot tires, they're going to pick this up.
I don't think Marcos has a whole lot of damage to that car.
And Jimmy Johnson did a great job. Look at Jimmy Johnson. I mean, he's got him locked up going to the outside, going straight at him.
And this is just one of those deals where Marcus was all the way to the left. He couldn't really go any more to the left. And it was just, these guys were all racing for that same real estate.
But you come up there and look, you can see the position, see where they're at. Boom. Bobby's trying to cut to get over to the curb to set himself up for the next turn. Yeah. And that's where he's looking. You're always looking to the next corner.
Oh, man, I'll tell you.
That was ugly right there.
Yeah.
But you're always looking to the next corner on a road course.
Brandon Ash is the lucky dog.
Coming outside.
It's the 47 on
Front of you, right in front of you. Come on, keep taking.
Tell you, Marcos dodged a big bullet on that one right there.
And so did Jimmy Johnson. I'm going to tell you, because he could have drove right in the door.
Now, isn't that's going to put them in a great spot because they just pitted, right?
Right.
So if a lot of these other guys come in and pit.
Casey Kane pitted on lap 71. He's in 5th. Tony Stewart pitted on lap 75. He's currently scored 7th. Joey Logano pitted on 66. He's in the 6th position.
Okay, now look, see Marcus was rubbing that left and right really hard. I think he's wanting to see if he's going to have a tire rub because there is damage on that right front.
Hey guys, remember what I said about staying out too long and a caution burning you?
Yep.
You're looking at the man that just got burned by that caution. Stayed out way too long. Robbie Gordon, you know, we're sitting here now with 36 cars on the lead lap. He has to pit. And I just think by not coming to pit road when the window opened, it very possibly, Ralph, cost him the race.
Hey, Larry, you're getting pretty good at this gas thing. That's exactly what their problem is. I just talked to Bob Gordon, Robbie's dad. He was so frustrated. He said we had planned on coming in right then when that caution came out. They had to stay out to get another lap or two in so they'd have enough fuel if there was a green-white checkered scenario. Everything was falling their way, and it just went away.
You don't have to say anything. All you have to do is look at Robbie's reaction inside that car, and you can tell that they just gave it away.
Yeah, it's hard to believe you can be strapped in and have that much body language, but I mean that says it all, man. He's shaking his head, he's putting it in his lap. I mean, his hands are hanging onto the net. That's just it.
It gets right back to Larry. It's still. Even if I don't know where his window exactly was, but it's a gamble. I mean, it's all timing on if you can hit it right or not.
Yeah, Wally, I think he was a well 2 to 3 laps. I just think I'd rather lose a race because I didn't have enough fuel to make it to a green-white checkered than lose a race this way.
Yeah.
So now Robbie heads to his pit stall under caution. Robbie Gordon has not pitted. Scott Speed, Martin Truex Jr., John Andretti. If they all come, it should circle around to Casey Kane as the leader. Ralph?
You know, one thing about this is Robbie makes his pit stop. They'll make a quick chassis judgment, pack him full of fuel. Kirk Almquist, his crew chief, told me this morning, the biggest difference for Robbie this year is that they are on the same page. They have all agreed what they were going to do race strategy-wise. They would live and die together as a team, Marty.
Ralph, Jeff Gordon didn't have a whole lot to lose here, pitting for 4 tires and fuel. They were all the way back at the tail end of the lead lap. He did not make much progress once he got those new tires on from the last stop, trying for everything they can. They're hoping these new tires gain them something.
Did you see those guys on the 7 car banging on it, trying to get Robbie, trying to inspire him, motivate him a little bit?
But it's a team sport. How many times have we talked about this in our couple of weeks here at TNT? It's a team sport, and everything that's going on here, from the gamble to the gas to the tires to when I'm going to pit and when I'm not, is a team deal. The team has to stay up because they can still salvage something here.
Under caution right now, Scott Speed is the race leader, but he hasn't been to pit road since lap 54. See if he comes now or comes a little bit later. Casey Kane runs 2nd, then it's Logano, Stewart, and Denny Hamlin. field has gotten the 1-to-go signal here at the Toyota Save Mart 350, and they have warned these drivers to make sure they pull up and they're in the proper positions for the restart. They don't want anybody hanging back trying to pick up a little bit more speed. So NASCAR has warned the teams, make sure your driver's in the proper position.
I don't think it's picking up speed. I think they just don't want to be in the wreck.
Okay.
Yeah, they're hedging their bet a little bit when they get over there.
Let's check out a fresh take brought to you by Subway Restaurant. Subway, eat fresh. Let's go down to Larry Mack.
Well, Bill, these are the things we talked about at the top of the show. My calculator, the battery's dead, my pen's out of ink, my brain's tired. But the thing I want you to look at, other than Scott Speed, that 87 car, pretty much everybody is done coming to pit road if you're going to win this race. But just look right there. I don't know that we're done with cautions. The last caution normally comes average a lap 93. Right now we've got 32 laps to go. And I think with this double file restart, shootout style, Wally, that we will have some more cautions. So I don't think we're done that. In fact, 4 times in the last 8 races, a caution in the last 10 laps.
And I agree with you on that, Larry, because first of all, this is where the patience goes out the window. The closer we get to the end of this race, guys are not going to just follow somebody if they're faster. They're going to start getting into each other.
And Scott Speed, who is the race leader in the 87 car owned by Joe Nemechek, pitted on lap 54. Casey Kane pitted just 7 laps ago in that 71 car, and everybody behind Speed has basically pitted within the last 11 laps.
All right, KP, so we keep waiting for seeing if that outside lane is going to make it happen. This could be real interesting.
Casey Kane will be in the outside lane.
I predict this will be real
interesting. It's going to be real interesting. I'm not going to say why.
I predict it will be. That's right. You guys at home make your own calls to listen, but I predict this one will be real interesting.
This is one of those deals where I'm not sure anybody's going to lift.
Yes.
Again, Scott Speed failed to qualify for this race. They basically made a deal, worked a deal with Joe Nemechek, the owner and driver of that 87 car. Joe has a lot of friends, gets a lot of help from that team.
Joe, I hope you got insurance, buddy. Got the 20 car right there, Joey Logano. Doing a nice job today, like Kyle said.
Pace car to the infield.
Ron Fellows sitting there in 7th. Don't forget about him.
Joey Logano in 3rd in his first road course race in the Sprint Cup Series. There's the green. 2 very critical turns right here.
All right, there we got side by side going up the hill, Kyle. So, wait.
He did it. There he did it.
There you have it. It can happen.
Kane to the lead, Stewart to 2nd. When these guys are going to want to get around that 87 car in a hurry.
Somebody's going to jack that 87 up.
Goes Kirkwood. Whoa! Kirkwood goes way in there.
Montoya over the curb.
Montoya has no patience at this moment. I can guarantee you. He's not saving fuel. Montoya by. Oh, 20 car.
Joey Logano, the rookie. Denny Hamlin, his teammate, right behind him.
Use those curves.
Well, you said in Wally's world that's cool and fun to do.
It is. I'm not sure if you're supposed to use all 4 of those.
Okay. I get it.
One of them right front,
okay.
left front. Oh, nice block job. We're trying. Okay, now see if Denny can do this without running into somebody.
Excellent point.
On board with Marcus Ambrose.
And Joey gave him plenty of room. Joey knew he was there, gave him plenty of room, swung that outside. And that just comes, and you would think it would come with experience, but I tell you what, those guys are teammates, and obviously their spotters, or their spotters were talking to each other.
Okay, watch here. I thought the 11 was going to get into the 87 of Speed.
You got Ambrose right there.
And he's still going to happen.
Yeah. You got Ambrose right at the tail end of this thing with the 09 of Fellows.
Yeah.
And they need to be moving.
The 87's like a jam car right now. You know, I mean, you know, he doesn't have the tires everybody else has, and you've got a lot of guys coming in here running hard.
Oh, my.
And
there is
your
contact. Logano and Speed.
You knew it was coming.
Now
No, don't do that. Now I bet he's got a left rear rub. He can have a flat tire just on that deal right there. I bet he's going to get a flat tire on this deal. Ryan Newman.
The 39 of Ryan Newman. currently 6th in the championship standings. Up front, you see Tony chasing Casey Kane.
Here comes Scott. Is that, yeah, that's Scott Speed. He's got.
And he has a run.
The 98 goes around. So here we go. What was I saying about everybody's patience going out the window?
They dropped the patience off in the pits. Yeah. The last time they pitted, they just handed their patience out the window. Because it's time to race, and it is time to race. These guys have to go now.
I tell you got to go back to 5th place here in that 48 car of Jimmy Johnson. Just an amazing comeback after the pit road speeding penalty. We watched the action. Check with Larry.
Hey, guys, in simple form, this is where they all go berserk. Right here.
Okay, let's see if we can find out. Man, it's really closer than it looks. Here's a replay looking for Ryan Newman.
I'm not sure if he got helped by the 77 on that or not.
The 77 was way out to the left. If he did, he just...
On board.
It's like he just gassed it up and got out from under.
Quarter. Clear.
That's hard.
He could have got touched there in the left rear.
Race leader Casey Kane. Tony Stewart runs 2nd. Oh, tiptoeing through turn 11. Toyota Save Mart 350 for the stars of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Just 27 laps to go. We are under caution for a multi-car incident. That's one of them. Go back and take a look.
Let's see if I can make a mess of this.
Looking for Boris.
Yeah, looking for Boris said, and go ahead and roll it, and I'll do my best, folks. Okay, right there. Boris gets in there way too hot. Hits the 71, or 77.
Right.
And 77 stays in the gas, drills the 71 of David Gilliland, and it will take a shot from Boris's car. Kyle, I don't believe Boris was going to make this corner without the other cars he could have pinballed off.
Yeah, right here, Boris is headed for the Save Mart sweep. And the 77 pulls back in front of him, cuts into the corner the way he should have. 77 did nothing wrong there, and neither did the 71. There's two cars that are eliminated from the race.
Because the guy got in there too hot.
Because the guy got in there too hot. But at this time in the race, to give Boris, you know, his kudos on this, he's got to get back to the front, and he's driven to the front a couple of times.
Lucky dog is the 18 of Kyle Busch. We check with Ralph.
We're down here with Kenny Francis. Kane. Kenny, what are you guys going to do on this restart? How's he going to approach it?
I don't know. You know, we got a pretty good car. Budweiser Dodge has been good all day, and you know, you know, we're not typically great road racers, but he does a pretty good job, and we're pretty good on our car today. Car's running real good, so it's hard to say. You know, Stewart's a hard one to beat on a road course, but yeah, we'll give it our best shot. I think we've got a real good car, a real good chance, though.
As he said earlier today, Bill, he said, so did Casey Kane, that this is the best car he's ever had here.
Casey Kane has never finished in the top 10 in 10 road course races. He leads right now with 27 to go. Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, and that Montoya guy behind him.
People like that, they have all the money.
And another wacky road course race here in Sonoma, and the excitement continues to build. Just 26 to go. Be a double file restart when we get the opportunity to go back to green flag racing. Still under caution. Let's check with Lindsay Zarniak.
I'm here with Kurt Busch's crew chief, Pat Trice. And Pat, right now you guys are charging in the 3rd spot. What is your strategy now?
Right now, the Miller Lite Dodge, we're hoping the race goes green the rest of the way, and we don't have to stop again. But you know, right now we're good on fuel mileage, so we'll see what happens. But there's a late caution. It'll be interesting to see if some guys come put tires on. When Tony had those fresher tires, when everybody was on tires, he moved up pretty quick. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there at the end.
Pat Trice would love to get Kurt Busch to his first trip to victory lane here at Sonoma. Matt?
Lindsay, before the last restart, Greg Zipadelli told his young driver, just save your stuff, be patient. We're working on a career best finish, a great run in the offing. and then you saw what transpired. They brought the car down the pit road. They worked on the left front fender. At about the 9 o'clock area, it had been pushed in, so they worked on that, sent him back out. But the bad news, he's now gone from 8th all the way to 36th, last car in the lead lap.
2 to go, so we can take another break. Want to say hello to Johnny Benson. No, he's back at home recovering from that wreck he had up in Michigan. And happy Father's Day to Aldo Andretti, who's getting well too. The TNT Race family spending the weekend in wine country here in Sonoma, California, Infineon Raceway. And our thanks to Steve Page and his staff and all the great people here at this track that make this such a pleasant visit for us and for all the fans that attend this race.
This is a fun place to come.
It really is. And by the way, NASCAR wants to thank everybody for your support at the track and by watching on their TV partners, including us at TNT. Field getting 1 to go. What's it going to look like when they go back to green? Let's revisit Wally's World.
Infineon is one of 2 road courses on NASCAR's top circuit and provides multiple challenges to the drivers from the moment the green flag is dropped. One very tricky corner is turn 3. You enter by climbing a hill where you can't see the racetrack on the other side. So aim for the curb. This not only gives you a target to hit so you won't blow the exit of the corner, but it also helps turning the car over the hill. Not to mention, it looks cool and it's fun to do. If you are going to have a shot at winning here at Infineon, you'll have to keep it pointed in the right direction.
It takes a lot of guts to do that.
It sure does. Or no brains.
That too.
Fans, let's check in with Larry McReynolds for his rankings for today's AT&T Fastest Pit Crew at Sonoma.
Guys, I'm going to tell you what, this is a tough one here, but my #1 vote right now would be Kenny Francis. We just talked to him, Casey Kane in that 9 car. Remember, when everyone else pitted on that first caution, they stayed out there. They were one of the last cars to pit in the very beginning of this race. You got to tip your hat to Frankie Kerr and Marcos Ambrose in that 47 car. Starting at the rear of the field up there in the top 10. And how about Jimmy Johnson, Chad Knaus up there in the top 5? And that's after a pit road speeding penalty. So that'll be my 3 picks for right now.
Hey, did Kane pick the outside? Because that's a first if he did, right?
He picked it against Tony. He was on the outside last time when you called him. You called
but
it
he
last
was in
time.
second spot.
But he was second.
Oh, okay.
He was the leader, and he picked the outside.
But he beat the guy from the outside.
Yeah, that's right.
But the last time it was Scott Speed. This time it's Tony Speed.
Right.
Okay.
Or Speedy Tony.
But you know what?
I mean, it's somebody totally different this time.
It was Scott Speed on old tires.
That's right, Scott Speed on old tires.
Right.
This is totally different right here.
Oh, but if he can get the jump, if he can beat Stewart to the jump and get on the gas, if he can stay there and stay to the inside when he gets to turn 2, he's going to be in good shape.
Yeah.
But that's a tall order because you see all that rubber stuff outside the racetrack? That's the stuff that he's going to have to deal with if he gets a foot off line.
Be 23 to go when these guys get to the line. This is the exact situation these drivers have been talking about since they got to Sonoma Friday morning. A double file restart in the late laps of the race, and how much traffic there will be in the first 2 or 3 turns.
Well, I don't know how much traffic there's going to be. 42 cars.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of traffic.
There's going to be a lot of traffic.
This is going to be cool.
39 cars on the lead lap.
See if he gets a jump. Go now.
I think he got a good jump. I think he heard you.
He got a good jump.
He did get a good jump there.
Montoya's good. Is he going to stick it in there? He is.
This is going to be big.
Very nice. Very nice. Oh, that's a good move on Montoya.
That's a gutsy move on Montoya because you got to jam it in there and then get it stopped at the top of the hill and not hit Casey up there.
But this is what you have to do right now. You've got to put your car in a position that you wouldn't have earlier. You're gonna see, like, see 11 going down here. I'm surprised 11 didn't go in there a little bit harder.
Wow. He's all over his rear bumper too. You saw Jimmy block right there. Jimmy knew he didn't get up off that corner good and he had to block.
47, taking a look.
That curve right there is incredible. If you laid a straight edge across that curve right there and went out, it's 2.5 feet tall. I mean, it really takes the car, almost stands the car up on its sidewalls when you come around that corner. It's not on the, you're not on the tire patch anymore. You're on the sidewalls.
That's 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Yeah, it does.
Sorry about that. Ambrose in that 47. Then he's going to try. No.
Jimmy Johnson's putting on the blocks right now. And this is where you start, like I said earlier, when you start driving in your mirror, you start making mistakes.
And when you block somebody like this, basically what you're doing is really, especially after restart, you're trying to block them to get their tires heated up, and then you can fall back into your rhythm. Sometimes you're not as fast as they are right on the get-go, but you feel like if you could block them for a couple of laps, maybe I can get my stuff heated up and then I can get away from
But the thing is, too, when you block somebody, you're taking yourself off the racing line, which completely just messes up your rhythm. So you got to be careful. If you're going to pull off somewhere and make the block, you may get past because you're offline.
Stewart, Montoya for second. Look out for that wall. Thank you. Kurt Busch right behind them.
Nice move.
Yeah, strong move by Tony right there. That's a power
there. Clear.
Now Kurt Busch wants that position from Montoya.
That's a tough pass to make right there if you're on the outside on that left-hander. There's not a whole lot of room.
Yeah, you get all the way to Gas's door, and you still got to let off because he's got the line going in.
Do we take our hats off to these guys for that double file restart?
I think I do, because listen, this is what we wanted to see. It's made the racing a lot better, and everybody's got through it today cleanly, so it can be done. And this was one of those places where everybody was worried about.
Here we are 2 or 3 laps. Oh, look at 11. But I mean, here we are 2 or 3 laps after the restart, and they're still running 2 and 3 wide. When they were single file restarts, these guys were already spread out. The race was almost over.
How about it, Marty?
I'm talking to Juan Pablo Montoya on the radio. Brian Patty said we're too good to the fuel. 2 laps in the good. He said drive it like you stole it. They were a little disappointed that Stewart got back by them. But remember, he's points racing. He told us that earlier in the day. You guys still buying that? Think he's still points racing?
Oh, here's something to that. Right now, he is 11th in points. So he is in the top 12 and would be in the chase at this point.
No, Marty.
Thank you.
I don't believe it. You know what? I don't think Montoya, and here's 48 taking a look at the 2. I don't think Montoya is probably real happy with the way his car has been braking today, because I just didn't expect him. Jimmy Johnson, I thought he was going to make a
run. Kurt Busch goes around.
And that's exactly what we're talking about.
And that's what happens. There's nothing you can do right there. You know, and the 48 was out there. He stuffed it in there. Kurt almost needed to roll out of it. But at this latest stage, at this late point of the race, you can't roll out of it.
But that's a deal. When you're on the outside like that, you are asking for trouble.
Still no caution flag.
Marcus Ambrose trying to brake on the outside. He's going to lose a spot.
Now the caution is out. Flag is out. Field is frozen.
Attaboy, go get him, dude. Go get him.
That was pretty cool.
Wow. That was a pretty cool series of corners right there. Because and it all starts, just as Wally said earlier in the day, you got to set up 2 or 3 corners away to make something happen. And this started back coming out of the other corner over there, 4A or whatever it is. I don't know what these corners are.
Way up there on the other end.
Yes. But you saw
I thought that was the opposite. Actually, Jimmy was on the outside.
Jimmy was on the outside, but here's the deal. Yeah, you're right. But Jimmy's on the outside, but watch this right here. You see Jimmy come at you. Watch Jimmy's car when it hits the curb. Yeah. Boom. The car sets to the right, then comes back to the left. And as it sets and comes back, Jimmy's just hanging on.
That's a hard call to make for the 2 to let off the gas there.
No, you're right. The 2 should not have let off. That's a bad call on Kyle Petty's part right there. Let me say it. The 2 shouldn't have let off. But this is that took my breath from setting up here.
Now on board with Marcos Ambrose.
Okay, if you think that was tight, wait till you see this shot.
Okay, now watch this.
Oh, we got a little wheel hop there, too.
And that thing is hopping at the same time.
He dodged the bullet on that one.
Right side.
Matt Kenseth is the lucky dog. He will come around and join the cars on the lead lap.
Now Casey Kane has to do this restart again.
Right. With 20 to go. Double file restart, shootout style in Sonoma. You're coming out to Sonoma, be sure and bring your camera. It is just beautiful out here. It's been a fun week. Now a lot more fun. 18 laps to go. Double file restart. We're still under caution. The field has gotten the 1 to go. Here is a reminder as to why we're under caution. Contact between the 48 of Jimmy Johnson and the 2 of Kurt Busch. Kurt goes around into the tires. More from Matt Yoakum.
Bill, great analysis by Wally and KP. Moments after they broke down the Busch versus Johnson incident, Here was Jimmy's take.
And that two-spotter and apologize to him. That was just a racing deal. That's the last thing I would try doing to him. Bouncing off the curves and sliding all over the place.
Know that, dude. They understand that stuff.
Just make sure. I mean, it was kind of a bad situation where it turned. I'm sorry about that.
Coach Canals also told Jimmy that you're just as good as the 14 as Stewart. Keep an eye out because they were racing very hard in your mirror with Ambrose, Fellows, Harvick, and Hamlin. Then he simply said, dude, there's a lot going on out there.
And, you know, and that's really sincere from Jimmy Johnson, because Jimmy Johnson's one of the cleanest race car drivers in NASCAR. And, you know, you can tell he does feel bad. There's a lot of other guys you go, yeah, sure, it was a mistake.
Yeah.
You know, but Jimmy is very, very clean race car driver.
Yeah, he wasn't just saying that just because he knows we're listening. That was sincerity in his voice. I believe that also.
17 laps to go when they get the green. Double file restart.
And that's the way I like it said, Bill.
Okay.
Now there's gonna be a lot of sincerity here going to the turn 1 or 2, because you got Montoya in there and Stewart, and it could get ugly.
I sincerely want to lead this thing by the time I get to turn 2. That's what they're thinking right now.
It's all give and take here until now, when it's pretty much all take. Kane and Stewart for the lead.
Not quite. He didn't quite clear him, but
he's in position. He's got to get in position. Now see if Jimmy Johnson can follow him through and get Stewart back to the 3rd spot.
Still there.
And see,
nah, he's not in position.
Yeah.
Oh, and here comes Montoya. He's going to stick it right in there.
Montoya's going on the outside right here, where there is no racetrack.
This thing from now on.
Oh my God!
He's going to use it all.
That's another brave move by Montoya. I don't care.
Now watch the curves.
Oh my goodness!
Watch the wall.
But we just made the comment about Jimmy racing fairly clean. That was clean. He gave Montoya a lot of room to get his car back and get it under control. This is good road racing right
now.
here.
Here we go. We're in the same exact situation, but Jimmy rolled out of it this time.
Ambrose right behind him.
Yeah, 47 car looks awfully strong right now. If he can get some breathing room, he may be a factor.
Greg Biffle has it's Biffle. He's gone around behind this. Checking on that in the second.
Yeah, watch the 47 now. He's setting up the 48.
Ooh.
Biffle, you see the damage.
That's not a spin. That's a crash.
Oh, and the 48's just going to do the block, but the 47's gone. Right? Like I said, Marcus has got a strong car right now, and he did that perfect. He was right there on his tail through 10. Jimmy blocked, but not enough.
Marcus Ambrose in that 47 car is a 2-time road racing champion from Australia.
Go get him, buddy. Go get him.
They're cheering him on right now. We saw some damage. I think we saw some damage coming in there on the 09 car. Maybe the Biffle got into him or whatever. I don't know. But that's Fellows, who's been in the top 10 and been running in the top 10, had some damage. I'm gonna give a shout out to this car coming right into the picture right behind there. The 6 car of David Reagan. Where's he come from? We've not even mentioned him all day long. And here he is in a Roush car, but he's up there in the top 5 or 6 right now.
See Kevin Harvick trying to get the position from Ron Fellows. And that's Clint Boyer, another Richard Childress Chevrolet.
Ooh,
and here comes Earnhardt.
It's getting busy. Watch it, Dale.
Ooh.
This is the time of the race where these guys take no prisoners.
No prisoners.
And you can see it in their driving.
When somebody checks up a little bit, somebody drives by them on both sides. You saw AJ right there. AJ just stood in the gas and drove back by the 99 right there.
AJ Allmendinger in 44.
Carrying that left front and smoking it through there at the same time when it's rubbing the fender. Oh, look at Ambrose go to the inside of Montoya right there.
Oh, we got trouble. 55. Oh, they got through it. But Carpante came in there really, really strong. Ambrose gets another spot. Up to 3rd. Gets by Montoya.
15 to go. It's a long way here. It's a lot of turns.
Well, you want every bit of it when you're sitting in 3rd with 3 seconds back right now.
Okay, we got to go back and look at some other stuff that's been going on. We'll keep an eye on this as well. That's 3rd, 4th, and 5th right there. Looking for Greg Biffle. I'm guessing he's back in that. Yep, there he is.
Yeah, they've just got all. Man, I don't even know what happened on that one.
You saw the 16 back it into the wall. Now we're looking for Brandon Ash.
Oh, wow. Well, he got in there awfully hard. I'm not sure if he didn't have some help on that deal.
That's incredible. He's driving this thing off, though. And he must have got it far enough off the racetrack, because that happened a while ago. He must have got it far enough off the racetrack.
Looking for him. I don't see him.
I feel bad for those guys. That's an independent team. His father builds the engines. Brendan works on the car. They've done a great job. They're out here competing against Roush and Hendricks. You know what I mean? Here's a team that didn't even show up with a crew to pit the thing, and they're out here on the same field. That's like playing on the baseball field of the Yankees or the Lakers, playing basketball. You know, they're competing. So, sorry, I hate that for those guys. Somebody's
there's going to be dive bombing.
There's going to be dive bombing. Yeah.
You can tell him all you want. He's going to dive bomb you.
What do you say? Tell him not to dive bomb me? Yeah. I'll tell him.
Yeah.
Harvick looking at David Reagan.
Yeah, that's when the crew chief goes, yeah, no, I took care of it.
Wow.
Here comes that wall. Caution for debris.
Hi, you would think so.
Wow.
With everything that went on out there.
Bumpers dragging, sides torn off, everything else. You'd think there'd be something out there.
Going, oh, not again.
Because you know what that means, don't you?
No.
After the caution?
Double file restart?
You're right.
That's what I mean. And Casey Kane's going, no. Although this is good for Ambrose because he's going to be tucked up right behind Casey Kane. Oh, we got headers.
That's a header right there. Somebody has hit incredibly hard to knock the headers off.
Car.
Yeah, it's got to be. But I'm going to tell you something. When you start seeing headers, I mean, we see cars on ovals wreck a lot of times, and you see brake rotors and you see stuff. But that's a header.
When you get to the engine, that's really tough.
Yeah,
that's a hard hit.
When you hit hard enough that the carburetor and stuff starts flying off the car, that's a hard hit. That's big right there.
Some fan really wants that.
You know, do not go out and pick that up.
Hearing that Sam Hornish Jr. in the 77 car, who is 8 laps down, is the lucky dog. Right now,
why bother? If you're 8 laps down, you know what?
Hey,
I know you're the stat
just
man.
reading the card. Field has gotten 2 to go. It's just going to get more wild when we get that.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing, brought to you by Gillette Fusion, Gillette's closest, most comfortable shave. By Coca-Cola Classic, collect the cans of summer. By Subway, home of the famous $5 footlong. Subway, eat fresh. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by Toyota, moving forward.
The TNT Race family spending Father's Day in Sonoma, California on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Just 12 laps to go. The field getting the 1 to go. They will double up for a double file restart. It's Casey Kane and Tony Stewart. Then in the 3rd spot, Marcus Ambrose. There he is in that 47 car. Let's check in with Ralph Shaheen.
Frankie Kerr is Marcus's crew chief. Okay, you made some creative pit strategy to get you to this position. Now he's driving the wheels off that car. Can he get this thing won?
Well, he's done a great job. You know, the Toyota, little Debbie Toyota has been great all day. You know, pit stops were really good. We've been adjusting on the car. He's done a great job. You know, it's been a roller coaster weekend for us, and I think we got a legitimate shot out of here. You know, those guys, we're definitely faster than them the last lap, so let's have to see what happens on this restart.
Matt, remember, they blew up an engine and tore the race car up yesterday, too. What a turnaround.
It's going to be 11 laps to go when we take the restart. You've got to be really impressed lap after lap as that car has just come together and the plans really come together for you and this team today.
Yeah, the Office Depot Old Spice Chevrolet is really good today. Tony, we know, is a great road course driver, so we're just looking forward to seeing what he can do here with Casey and Ambrose. Those guys are some really fast cars, too, so it's going to be fun to watch.
Brand new race car, took it to VIR up in Virginia, and it has just been a rocket ship ever since.
Thank you, Matt, and thank you, Ralph. Now we're going to set up today's NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile Now moment. Usually we go back and replay something for you, but as Matt said, 11 to go when they get the green. And this is going to be a moment. Find out what's happening now in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Never miss a moment with live race radio, live in-car audio, and real-time stats on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile, only from Sprint, only on the Now Network. So if you're Casey Kane, what are you thinking?
Well, if I'm Casey Kane, I'm thinking that I've got to be far enough ahead of Tony when I get to the right-hander in turn 2. If I'm not, I'm going to be in trouble. I'm also thinking I can't get too wide going up that hill because there's a lot of trash, there's a lot of dirt, I've got hot tires, and if I get offline just a little bit, that's all it's going to take for Stewart to take the spot.
And if I'm Tony, I'm thinking Casey's about out of tricks. We're on our third restart here. He's already smoked me one time. I got to his door this time, but had to give up the position, you know, and had to fall back in line. So is this going to be closer than the first two? First one wasn't close. That one was a little bit closer. So I think from the 14 standpoint, he's going to be a little bit more prepared, better prepared than where he was before.
When NASCAR announced double file restarts before Pocono, everybody immediately thought of this scenario. Late in the race at Sonoma, 2x2 up the hill. Kasey Kahne, Tony Stewart on the front row. The second place car cannot beat the leader to the start finish line. No passing till you get across the line.
Stewart spun the tires. Just that little bit when he jumped on the throttle, he lost 1 car length to Kasey Kahne.
Montoya's going to try for second.
Okay, now Stewart has it. This next corner right there, he had a lot better forward bite than the 42 car. So he dodged the bullet right there.
And look at Ambrose right here.
Yeah, Ambrose is going.
Almost
Reagan! Hang on.
Ambrose is almost with a crossover there. He cut from the outside back across, but Montoya got away with it.
Boy, the track really squeezes you right there where that wall juts out.
Oh, here he comes. And this is what you got to do. Nice move. That's by Marcus Ambrose, and that's what you got to do. You got to throw the car in there. Once you make a decision, you're going. You got to follow through with it.
And that's a power move. He drove that thing down in there, got on the brakes. He never smoked a brake. You can tell he's modulating the brake and on the gas. He's driving with his feet in the seat of his pants right there. That was a smooth move.
And I started saying this, I'm not sure that the 42's brakes are as good as everybody else's. He seems like he's really been struggling under braking. And Kyle Busch has got more problems. He has transformed that car into a rubble.
Man.
Still under green.
Fire.
I heard him say it will not fire. What's Kasey Kahne thinking now?
This is killing Kasey Kahne right now.
It's killing him.
This is the last thing. He does not want to have to keep restarting this race.
10 to go. Still under green. Kasey leads, then Tony Stewart, then Marcus Ambrose in third.
Yeah, he's off the line. No, he's right in the middle of the track. So and he got it fired.
He got it fired. He was trying to crank it.
Yep.
We're sitting here with an in-car seeing some stuff. He was trying to crank it. It wasn't like he was just sitting there.
Yeah.
And NASCAR did a great.
Oh, we got another one. Can't tell by the smoke yet. Oh, they're jamming them up now. We got a bunch of guys involved in this.
6 car out here to the right.
Boris said. David Reagan. There's Boris is on board.
Oh. Well, I thought that was
the only thing that Boris didn't hit yet.
I thought that was
decided to go.
Junior's involved, and Junior was having a good run. I got to give it. There's a lot of guys. I mean, this is just. But this is what this race is. This comes down to the last, and you can have a great run that goes for naught, goes all to pieces on you, right in the last 2 or 3 corners at the end of the race.
And we're still under green. Kasey Kahne leads. 9 to go. Go back and take a look.
2 wide, 83 right in your lap.
It's on board with Kyle Busch.
Still 3, still rolling. 3 wide.
Wow.
3 wide, 4 wide, 3 wide, 2 wide, 2 wide, 7 right side. 31 now. Keep rolling. 2 wide at your door. Corner, still down here. Oh,
yeah, he had somebody, I think, to the right side of him right there.
Yeah.
And we're not seeing any give or take here. That's all it is. These guys are just racing hard.
Look at this. This is 3.5 wide right there, just about. Reagan gets hit and gets spun by the 99 car, which sends him into the 88. If you go back and look at that, the 99 got right into the corner of the 6.
And I think Boris got turned.
And Boris got turned just trying to slow down.
Yeah, he got turned by Robbie.
Yeah.
He got clobbered. Cars in the middle.
David Reagan only has 1 top 10 finish in 2009, 6th at Daytona.
And how many times have we seen that today where the car that causes the accident drives off scot-free, and somebody else is punished for it? But that's the way it works on these road courses, and I mean, it's just part of it.
We got one more look on board with Carl Edwards.
And you see the 99, he just jacks up the 6, which sends him in there sideways and sends him into the 88. And here the 99 drives away and picks up two positions.
2 spots, yeah.
Great job by Carl Edwards, if you want to call it that. But I mean, I'm being sarcastic. Sorry, people.
You're kidding.
Yeah, sorry. And oh, here's Strimmy, man. And then
got motor problems.
Yeah, it looks like it. The way that thing's puffing.
Yeah. He gets to pit road. Top 3 cars right there. Coming to 7 to go. Here's some numbers for you. The number 5, the number 9, and the number 21 have been in all 20 previous races at this track. They are the only cars to compete in all 20 races without a win. So no 5 cars ever won here, no 21 cars ever won here, no number 9 cars ever won here. The 9 car leads now. Larry McReynolds, what are you doing?
Well, I'm just sitting here summing up these 3 cars, and right now there's definitely places on the racetrack, like right there in turn 11, that Tony Stewart is a little better through the middle of the corner. But I just almost wonder right now, Kasey Kahne, he's just running that car, I think, as hard as he needs to, not trying to overdrive it, not abusing anything, but that 14 is all over him right now.
Well, you know what, and I noticed just when you were saying that, Larry, the 9 took a little bit different line through turn 11 that I don't think is the fastest line around there. So it's going to be interesting to keep watching these guys to see what kind of lines they're running. But you're right, Stewart did make some ground on him on that last lap.
Kevin Harvick restarted in the 7th position, and he currently runs in the 32nd spot.
And this is where, if you're in Tony's situation, you start worrying the guy in front of you. You just try to start filling up his mirrors as much as possible and hoping that he will start mirror driving and he will make a mistake, because it almost always happens when you push a guy and they start worrying about the mirror. That's when the mistake happens.
Well, we saw it earlier in the day at the very beginning of the race with the 83 car when the 18 caught him, when Kyle Busch caught him. He just worried him enough that finally he slides out up there in turn 7 and gives up the position and then drives away from him. That he just worried him, just as you say, Wally. He just worried him into doing something that he wouldn't normally do.
Just to polish off the Kevin Harvick story, cut tire on the 29.
This is where you almost want to tell Kasey to reach up and grab the mirror and turn it up.
Yeah,
don't look at it. I'll tell you when the guy's close, but don't look in the rearview mirror.
Now, you're right, Kyle. He needs to focus on what's in front of him, not what's behind him.
Ralph, what are you focused on?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I rode with both Kasey Kahne and Tony Stewart around the racetrack earlier today in opening ceremonies, and Tony was talking about the fact that both he and Kasey were kind of wishing it would be even harder today, that the track would be even slipperier, because the 2 of them with their dirt track roots would really enjoy slipping and sliding these cars around here. Well, I'm pretty sure they got what they wished for right about now. These tires are pretty much shot. As you can see, the cars' handlings have gone away. They have to really drive these cars. They are both in their element. The ironic thing, though, is Kasey said earlier in the week, road racing goes against everything I've ever learned about driving a race car.
And he's got one of the best in the business right behind him in Tony Stewart. Marcus Ambrose runs in 3rd. Jimmy Johnson is 4th. Hamlin is 5th. Montoya has slipped to 6th. A.J. Allmendinger's in the top 10. Max Pappas is in the top 10 in the 10th spot.
See, Kasey runs a really, really low line down there in turn 11. And it almost looks like he's trying to search for grip down there, but it's hurting him getting off the corner a little bit.
5 to go.
But I'll tell you what, he's smooth. He's driving a smooth race.
Tony watches him all the way around, looking for his line, looking for where he might make a mistake.
Well, right here, from this point on, is when you need to start setting him up. If you're going to pass Kasey, because he's not making any mistakes. So you've got to be good right through here. And he's trying to get close. He's trying to get close. Now, from this point on, if he can stay that close or get a little bit closer to the 9 car, when he gets down to 11, he'll be able to try to pull out and outbreak him. But unless you're within a car length or less, you're not going to have a shot outbreaking the guy. See, right now, it's almost too far. He needs to be closer in order to pull off a braking pass. See, and Tony got in there too high.
Yeah, you saw he smoked that right front, and look how much ground he lost right there.
So, but he was trying. He was trying to get up there to get him set up. but he blew it just that little bit.
And the problem with this is now he's got to wait the whole next lap to either try and get into the 7 or try him again when he gets back down here.
Yeah. Watch that number. Keep changing at the top of the screen. You can see how close they are right in front of you. We check with Matt.
Bill, 30 years ago, Nelson Stewart remembers like it was yesterday when he bought his young son, Anthony, his first go-kart. 30 years later, he's been along for every step of the way. A success. He's standing in the back of the pit hoping to see his son go to victory lane here on Father's Day with his first road course win as an owner-driver.
Oh,
Casey Mears,
top of the hill.
The 98.
And he was in the 11th spot.
Let's roll. Right side, inside.
There's a replay of Casey's.
That'll help.
Wow.
Patrick Carpentier in the 55.
Yeah, that's not getting rooted out of the way. That's getting knocked out of the way. But, you know, Patrick had a line on him getting in there. And Casey, as Casey comes over, just tries to close the door.
Coming to 3 to go. Larry?
Yeah, I'm watching Tony Stewart make this move here. They'll be coming to 3 to go. You know, Matt just talked about a Father's Day present for Nelson Stewart, Tony Stewart's dad. But we talked about Casey Kane. He's not been to victory lane in over a year. But Kyle, how about the man they call the King? He's not been to victory lane in 11 years. When he went there with John Andretti at Martinsville, that'd be quite the Father's Day present for your dad.
Yeah, how huge would that be for RPM? You got Allmendinger running second. You got Kane running up front. You know, the other guys got in some incidents and had some trouble. I'm going to tell you, Casey has done a great job. He has run his race. You know, if we go back to the early part of the race, they told him just race the racetrack and run your race. They put him in a position early with their pit strategy and stuff, with the fuel mileage that those guys had worked out. And now he's up here and, you know, he's got to worry about Tony Stewart. And that's a lot to worry about. Don't get me wrong. I'm really surprised Ambrose hadn't caught up to him faster than what he has, because I thought he was coming.
And just to clarify, Allmendinger in the 7th position.
7th. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I knew you were excited.
I just look, man. I just, okay. He's on the board somewhere,
right,
on the left side of the board.
In a good position. Coming to 2 to go this time by.
And one thing about it, they really don't have, well, they have a little bit of traffic, the 18 car. I think the 18 will get out of the way, but they don't really have a lot of traffic to contend with, which is good for Casey.
You know, we're talking about these guys up front, and while all this, like you say, watch that ticker tape across the top. Max Pappas is 10.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, these guys, there's a lot of guys who have had some really good runs.
Understand the 87. There it is. Scott's speed is spun. 2 laps to go. The leaders climb the hill. It's everything you got right now.
Yeah, these cars are really evenly matched right now. The first 2 cars, actually the first 3 cars, because Ambrose is, they're all running almost the identical same times. Oh no!
Caution!
Wow!
Wow!
Caution is for the 87 car stopped on the course.
If Casey does win this, he has dodged more bullets in one race than I can remember in a long time.
And even though we're inside 10 to go, inside 5 to go, it will be a double file restart. Boris has seen a few people today.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. From about that same angle, right off the left front fender.
Sam Hornish gets a free lucky dog again. He's currently scored 7 laps down. Larry?
Yes, Bill.
Did you put your calculator away?
I never put my calculator away.
Okay. Earlier this morning, did we talk about that green-white checkered thing?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
But you know, honestly, with Casey Kane pitting with 39 laps to go.
And the caution laps?
In the caution laps. We've had a ton of cautions. I think fuel-wise, everybody's in good shape.
Okay. Just wanted to double check.
But again, as I told Wally, never say never.
2 to
I'm
go.
like the weatherman in Florida. 50% chance of rain today, you know. Can't go wrong.
2 to go right now. There'll be 1 attempt at a green-white checkered finish.
And that's probably what Casey's hoping for right now. It's just to throw that green and there will be mayhem.
There's the trophy, and that was delivered here by David Reagan, courtesy of UPS. And some of the guys from the United States Coast Guard Air Station San Francisco, they are the guardians of the Golden Gate. The crewman who hand carried the trophy from for the Coast Guard, Petty Officer Second Class Brian Patrick, is a hardcore race fan when he is not flying on rescue missions or serving as a counter-terrorism precision aerial marksman sharpshooter. He's a helicopter mechanic.
You know, and that's the way trophies should look as far as I'm concerned. They should be cool like that.
They should be.
Yeah, they should be. So
when you drive as hard as Casey and Tony and these guys have driven today, you want to get out and see something nice. You want to see some nice hardware there.
And we salute the Coast Guard and all the men and women of our armed forces. There you see the pointers showing you where the guys are in the running order. And again, it will be a double file restart.
Now, this actually could work in Ambrose's favor. If he could stay with Kane and they're close enough on the restart and get in front of Stewart, he's got a shot. But he's got to get in front of Stewart in order to have a shot.
Of course, if you're third and the first two guys take each other out, then you're in a pretty good spot, too.
And that could happen.
One attempt at a green-white checkered finish. If the caution comes out after the green flag is waved, the race is over. The field is frozen, and NASCAR will use scoring loops and videotaped replays to determine the finishing order. Boy, Casey Kane just sitting in that car.
He's getting great practice on restarts, though. Now, last time, like I said, I pointed out, Tony Stewart spun the tires. And that's what cost him a little bit. And you see him working that wheel. He's trying to keep those tires clean.
You know, and once they break loose, they don't come back. You got to feather out of the gas, and that's what that gave the 9 car an opportunity to clear him right there. So we've seen the 9 car clear him twice. Once, second time he didn't clear him, third time he did clear him again.
Let's watch Tony on the inside. See how the tail of the car just spun a little bit? That's all it takes to lose 1 or 2 car lengths.
And you see the momentum that the outside line gains when Tony, the inside line didn't go anywhere, and here's Montoya on the outside on that restart and had position right there.
And Stewart right there doesn't know if he has his rear tires back yet.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a while to feel it out.
And Tony fights back, and now he's got the position. But I'm telling you, he could have easily gone from second on that restart back a couple of positions and taken that whole inside line with him. 4th
caution flag since Casey took the lead. Kane's best finish at this track is 23rd back in 2007. It's Casey Kane and Tony Stewart. Ambrose, Johnson, Hamlin. Montoya is 6th. Allmendinger 7th. Boyer, Edwards, and Pappas.
Those 48 guys are just always there.
Yeah, just always there,
just
man.
Always there.
No matter what happens to him. And we've seen, you know, Jimmy's kind of got in the middle of a couple of accidents, dodged a couple of accidents, but they've stayed calm on the radio. You know, listening to the radio communication under caution and what we've played here on TV. It's just been phenomenal how calm they've been.
Field has gotten the 1 to go. Just a brief look at the championship points right now to show you how important the next 4 miles are going to be when they get the green flag. Juan Montoya is 13th in points, 3 out of 12. Casey Kane is 14th, 6 out of 12.
And see, you know, these guys are running right now. They're running side by side. You got to be careful even where you're running right now because you're picking up debris. You know, you want one corner you're offline, the next corner you're online. So it's real important to keep those tires clean when you're coming down the green because you are running through garbage right now.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about it all the time. This of all the racetracks you run, a racetrack like this, a road course, is a single groove racetrack. Everybody runs the same place. You try to hit the same marks. So all the rubber and all the marbles go out. That's why it's so phenomenal when these guys step out to pass somebody on the outside. It just takes my breath to say, watch them sometimes. Even down here in turn 11 where they run everywhere. But when their tires are hot, just like we've talked about, when their tires are hot, they're picking up everything right now.
Still got 2 exciting laps to go, but when we're done here on TNT, complete post-race coverage at NASCAR.com. And just once again to point out, it's very important to get the lead and hang on to it because if the caution comes out for any reason, the race is over.
Yeah, this is this is probably the most important first or second turn for these guys up in the front than we've had all day, just for that reason.
Yeah, if Casey can make it to the top of the hill and be in the lead, and something happens at the bottom of the hill or getting in right behind him in turn 2 and he's in turn 3, he's a race winner. Yep. And that's the rules. And that's just the way, and everybody understands that. We can all complain about it or people can comment about it, but that's the rules we race on.
The fans here in Sonoma certainly have gotten their money's worth today.
Actually, yeah, I forgot Ambrose has got to start on the inside. So, so the 48 will actually line up behind Casey.
Right.
Which is good for him, I think.
We're going to find out. Drivers try and put some heat in their tires.
Yeah, see how they're doing the burnouts right there. They're doing those burnouts to try to avoid what happened to Tony Stewart on the last restart. Clean them rear tires off.
Only 2 drivers in the top 12 have ever won a road course race. Tony Stewart and Juan Pablo Montoya.
48 lined up with you.
Here we go. Final restart of the race. Who's going to win the battle to get to turn 1 first? Through turn 12. Green's in the air.
Got a pretty good start right there. He moved first anyhow.
Yep. He's got a clean start.
Clean start, cleared right there. He cleared. So the 9 car clears up to turn 1. Oh, he's going to get, look at him get in there. Wow.
Ambrose trying to hang tough. Got to stay there. Got it. And when you're in the 48 in that position on the outside, there's nothing you can do. You've got to give the guy the corner.
And you don't want to force that issue for 3rd place either when you're points racing too. He's had 2 weeks where he went into this place leading the race or running 2nd and has got 40th place finishes almost to show for it. Not that bad, but that's an exaggeration.
Watch in the back there, because if anything happens, it's going to be right here. There's 5 abreast going in there right now.
A lot of brake smoke. A lot of brake smoke back there behind them.
And I can't tell you how impressive it is. They all, once again, got through turns 1 and 2.
That's why no matter how much we talk about it, these guys are the best guys in the world, man, when it comes to doing this kind of stuff.
Into turn 11. Coming to the white flag. Casey Kane leads. Tony Stewart is 2nd. Here comes Marcus Ambrose.
Oh, Stewart gets a little bit sideways here, but he was running it in hard in turn 11.
White flag in the air, last lap.
I'm not sure. Tony Stewart's going to have to get a lot closer if he's going to make any kind of move. He's got till turn 10.
Oh! It's Mark Martin, Robbie Gordon, Jeff Burton.
These guys got to keep going. I don't see anything.
Stay under green.
I don't think Stewart.
They all
He's got enough, but Ambrose is definitely looking at the back of the 14 car.
Five back, bud. 5 back.
Less than half a lap. 2nd, 3rd, and 4th behind Casey Kane.
They're by 5.
Yeah, no, I think they're too spread out unless you see a real bonsai from somebody. Hey, Casey's done a nice job. It's a lot of pressure doing that over and over again.
Casey Kane's father supported his racing career from a very early age. Sent him off to the Midwest from Enumclaw, Washington, to further his racing career after he got out of high school. Now he comes back to the West Coast, and Casey Kane wins at Sonoma.
That's incredible, man. That's impressive.
Montoya in 6th, Allmendinger a top 10.
Great run by Elliott Sadler. He passed on the outside there to contend up 10. Patrick Carpentier in 11th. How about that Pappas? Some of those road course ringers kind of worked their way up in there.
The King is headed to victory lane.
Headed to victory lane. But what is that? 3 cars in the top 10 for Richard Petty Motorsports? That's big, man. That's big.
And huge for Casey Kane and that Budweiser team.
And for Dodge.
Yes.
And for Dodge. And we got to throw that in. I mean, look at these guys.
And I can't wait to hear what he was thinking every restart.
Every restart. And that's the deal. It's like, you know, we get all excited about it because it's double file, and we're setting up here. These guys have to do it lap after lap, time after time. That just killed me, man.
Kasey Kahne's previous best road course finish was 14th, twice, both of those at Watkins Glen. Now he's a road course winner at Sonoma. He's going to Victory Lane, and we'll take you there next. And we welcome you to the NASCAR on TNT post-race show. Kasey Kahne, the winner in Sonoma. His first road course win. There's the burnout. And he got the checkered flag, and he's taken that to Victory Lane. His 10th career win in his 196th start. His last win, June of last year at Pocono 37 races ago. And for Richard Petty Motorsports, their first win. Ralph Shaheen is in Victory Lane.
Here he is. Kahne has pulled himself into Victory Lane. Kasey, let's get you out of the car. Come on out, buddy. Congratulations. Get that steering wheel off of there. The first time he's pulled into a Victory Lane at a road course in his career. Career victory number 10. Comes on the road course, something he said goes against everything he had ever learned in a race car. Here he is. Well, congratulations, you've won on a road course. How's that feel?
Feels great. It's I can't believe it, to tell you the truth. I learned how to drive on dirt, and to somehow come out and win on a road course, I think it takes the great Budweiser Dodge Charger. We have so many great people, Stanley Tools, Allstate Insurance, McDonald's, so many people that help us out. The guys at the shop have had some ups and downs this year, but they're building great race cars, and it's so cool to win a race for them. Win a race with Richard Petty.
Good show, man.
Can't believe
Good
that.
show.
But,
our first win. Good deal.
Great. So.
All right.
How do you feel about your guy getting a win here today, King?
I feel just as good as he does, okay? You know what I mean? Because it's great, man. It is great.
Kasey, I got to ask you, you dodged a lot of bullets on restarts.
Yeah, it was crazy. Stewart's as good as they get out here, and I got to start beside him about 4 times there, 5 times, and cautions kept coming out. We were able to hold him off. He was giving me tons of room on going, you know, so I didn't get rubber on my tires, which is normal Stewart. You know, the guy's awesome race with one of my favorite race car drivers, and all these fans that come out, Sprint, everybody that puts on this race. I mean, it's unbelievable to win a road course race.
How about telling your dad you just gave him the best Father's Day gift ever, huh?
Yeah, he probably can't believe this either, but happy Father's Day, Dad. Have yourself a beer.
Matt?
Ralph, you go back to when Kasey Kahne won his first ever Sprint Cup Series race. It was a 1-2 finish with he and his buddy Tony Stewart. His first road course win, 1-2. For the fun meter, it had to have been high for you guys today.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the second to last run there, when looking at our mirror, and we were fast, but Kasey was matching us lap for lap. And then when he came out in front of us after that last set of pit stops, I was like, oh, we might be in trouble here. And we could run about the same pace. I just couldn't, you know, I was a little too loose in the right-handers, and Kasey never made a mistake. The kid did an awesome job. He just ran a perfect race.
And you had your mirror full also with Marcos Ambrose.
Yeah, I got a little nervous because he got coming there toward the end. When he got by Montoya, I thought we were going to have our hands full there, and we got a charge on Kasey at that point and just couldn't do anything with it. Couldn't get close enough to him to really do anything, but it was fun. I mean, it's great to run with this caliber of guys, and anyway, we had a great day for our Office Depot, Old Spice Chevy, and all the guys at Mac Tools and Coke and everybody and our fans up here. It's awesome to come out here.
Talk about impressive. In 11 seasons, 8 times Tony Stewart has finished second or better on the road course. Let's go to Lindsey Zarniak.
Matt, you knew that Marcos Ambrose would make things interesting today. Marcos, you turned a very frustrating weekend into a third-place finish. You had to start in the back of the field. How satisfying is this for you?
Just a great recovery for our team. That's what our team's all about. We just never give up. You know, JTG Doherty have just been giving me the chance to come here and race with Little Debbie and Kingston Clark's. Just so proud. It's the home of Clark's here in San Francisco, so we had a heap of guests here today. I'm really pleased I ran well for them for my job security. But just great, you know, we kept the car fairly straight. Up there when you're in that rare air with those drivers, you know, you just don't want to slip up when you're around them when you got your chance to run well. And we brought it home. You know, we would have loved to have won the race, but I feel like, you know, a disadvantage from Saturday, blowing up that motor, it feels like a win.
Something tells me Marcus Ambrose doesn't really need to worry about job security, Bill?
I don't think so. Impressive performance.
Not like us.
Exactly.
Unofficial results. Casey Kane with the victory. And you see some of the Clint Boyer getting a top 10.
You know, AJ's up there, had a good run. We didn't talk about Clint much today, but he had a good finish. Elliott Sadler, another guy.
He was just steady. Those guys, and then you got guys like Jeff that had what, a pit road penalty, and then you got Elliott there with some of his stuff. Patrick, we saw him spun down here a couple of times.
Mac Pappas, good run for him.
Kurt Busch, Ryan Newman,
and a couple guys that were running good, like Kurt Busch and you know, Joey Logano and some of those guys that had top 5 runs going that just got into situations and that weren't their own fault.
Yeah, Kenseth gets a lap down, gets a lucky dog. This is the page you get to where these guys, their day happened, goes to junk in a handbasket because it happened so late in the race. Dale Earnhardt Jr., I thought he had a pretty good run going. And not known, like I said before, but had a good run going. You look at him, you look at Harvick, you look at Fellows, you look at David Reagan, you look at those guys.
Yeah. Down to Matt Yoakum.
And Bill, I think Ivan Stewart would have been proud of the way Jimmy Johnson handled this Serpentine road course. You saw just about everything today.
Yeah, we went through a lot with the pit road speeding penalty and then had to fight back from that. But what a great race car. Chad and the guys did a great job of giving me a good car. Real fast on the long runs, and I could just work away at it. So very proud to have this Lotus Impala in the top 4. Here at Infineon, it's been a tough track for us. So we're getting better and making things better. And next week, I'll be sure to get you some sunblock because your face looks like a fire suit right now.
All right, thanks, man. Congratulations on a good top 5.
Right on.
And Matt, earlier on the track, there was a little incident between Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch. What happened, and was the message ever delivered to you that he apologized?
Didn't get that message, but, you know, 2 guys trying to go for the same spot on the track. I felt as if I had track position, but I just didn't expect that from Jimmy. Trusted him a little bit. But, you know, we came back to finish 15th. If that would have been the last lap or something, we both would have done something different. I just had too much time to think about it. Right away, I said, man, I'm pissed. This is awful. We're going to lose a lot of spots. And it was just 2 champion drivers vying for the same spot. But overall, a good day for our Miller Lite Dodge. We had great pit strategy. We were poised for a top 5 spot. And even if we couldn't, I was going to fade gracefully. There's an opportunity you have. When you realize you can't win, you have to fade gracefully. And I don't think Jimmy Johnson could have won, and he should have waited and been a bit more patient.
Well, there's the thoughts of Kurt Busch and Jimmy actually right beside him right now, coming over to apologize. And there's the handshake. So they are shaking hands about the incident. Kurt somehow went from 38th, though, to 15th there on that last run, Bill.
How about that? 36 cars finished on the lead lap. That's a record for the most on a road course. Take a look at the unofficial championship standings after today's race here in Sonoma. Tony continues to lead. And obviously you go right down to 10th, 11th, and 12th. Mark Martin loses a number of spots. Juan Pablo Montoya unofficially in the top 12 as of right now. Casey Kane in 13th is 3 back. David Rudiman 40 back.
Where did Rudiman finish?
31st.
31st, yeah. Hey, I thought he was going to have a decent run there. He was up in there. What do you think Kurt and Jimmy are saying to each other now that the camera's turned off?
They're talking racing.
Yeah, I think they are too. But you know, Kurt said he was mad and he said I'm a little teed off. You don't expect to get turned the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And I think that's what made him mad. And that's where he talks about the trust factor. He didn't expect to get turned opposite.
Next Sunday, NASCAR on TNT heads to New England. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern with NASCAR on TNT Live. That's followed by Countdown to Green and then Sprint Cup Racing from Loudon. That's next Sunday on TNT. Coming up next in the East on TNT, the Da Vinci Code, and in the West, it's the Pursuit of Happiness. Head to NASCAR.com right now for more NASCAR on TNT post-race show, interviews, analysis, and more. That's at NASCAR.com. Thanks to all the people in the truck and around the track. We'll see you from New England next week.